Hello, are you a haughty, noble wizard? Then you're going to love this, because this is the High Elf Deep Dive.
I don't know what I was doing, but let's get high, elves.
It's super exciting. With the upcoming Arcane Journal for the High Elves, we are going to do a bit of a deep dive, a bit of a kind of a revisit. This is like going back, and you should never do this, obviously. Oh,
Rob, what's that, Rob? What's that, Rob? It's a deep dive!
Watch out, everybody. Well, we are going. Well, this is a deep dive. I guess there's a lot of maritime stuff in this, right?
Holy shit, there is.
There is, and as a man who owns a boat.
Yes, indeed.
Is it a ship or a boat?
It's a boat.
Oh, so
I go by the DSV definition of boat, which is a vessel that can fit on top of another boat.
Sequest DSV.
Sequest DSV.
Are you talking about that? Wow.
I made a Sequest DSV reference.
That is, like that. You just unlocked a memory. What's amazing
was Kevin Sorbo the captain? Anyway, doesn't matter.
No, unfortunately not. He's also awful. #bast. But important things to remember. Yeah, super bad. One of the things about Sequest DSV, and pretty relevant to people watching this, is most of the models that you're going to see from this were available when you could watch Sequest DSV. Same timeline. So
just the spearmen and the archers. The other ones are pretty good, as we said on our miniature preview show.
True that.
Right?
Yeah, no, you're right.
And we got lit up because we did not give the Elysian Reavers enough credit for being new sculpts, even though I'm pretty sure they're kind of like pivoted sculpts.
Yeah, I think there was some really inspirational sculpts. Shout out to there's some good ones. Anyway, so everyone get excited. Arcane Journal coming out for the High Elves. We're pretty certain that we're going to see a White Lions army of infamy. We're going to see some sort of Lothern Sea Guard. Is that right? A sort of like army of infamy? Or did you just gaslight me into that? You wanted it so much that's what I think that the other half of it is.
I think that was confirmed.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was a bit like, I don't know if I wanted that, but is that what happened? But it's definitely what
I don't know if, I'm sad that you've caught on to it, and I hope our audience never catches on that a lot of times I just say things really convincingly in the hopes that it happens. But in that one I think was true.
So do you have... So, like, obviously, a year and a bit into the old world, with almost no institutional changes from Games Workshop to address glaring issues, we can then revisit the High Elf book. Do you have, before we get into it and a deep dive, do you have like a TLDR in your opinion of how High Elves are viewed, how High Elves are played, and what the kind of like general consensus is? Or do you just have like, this is what I think?
I got vibes. I just got vibes on the High Elves.
Okay, what's your vibes?
The vibes on the High Elves is that people probably think that this is a dragon heavy and like dragon only type of build. However, there is also Sisters of Avalorn. So, 2 units. No, I'm not. No. I think my TLDR on this is that the High Elves are a very infantry centric army in a situation where. Hit your bingo card, guys. Infantry isn't very good sometimes. So like there are a lot of like they have like 3 different elite infantry units, which is more than most armies I think boast. And you know, they're probably not good because of the current scenario of the infantry problems. So they do have some really cool characters. They got cool magics. They got access to multiple dragons. But, you know, that a lot of the stuff I think that people would be really, really excited about if you're playing in an optimized way, perhaps, isn't that great. So
yeah,
that's it.
Okay, and if you are watching this, you're super excited about the High Elves, do let us know in the comments below what you think about High Elves. Have you been playing them? Do you plan on playing them? Highs and lows, what's your experience has been in the past year? Or what are you looking forward to playing in the future? I think that they're one of... After you, please.
Oh! I was just going to point out that being said, they did do well at the LVO recently, which was a big tournament.
Oh, amazing.
That's all I know.
Yeah, the LVO for yeah. Do you know what? Never mind. I will say nothing. Okay, cool. So let's dive straight into this, shall we? And start looking at this information. Obviously, we could start looking at the 3 war scrolls, 3 unit entries we need to look at. But let's start at the Grand Army composition first, right? And take a little look at this and see what's available. So for characters, you can have 1 High Elf Prince or Archmage per 1,000 points. And then you can have up to 1 Dragon Mage or Handmaid the Ever Queen per 1,000 points. And then you can have multiple High Elf Nobles and Mages. So lock it off. How do you feel about what's going on here?
Well, I think that is, I don't know, pretty good. I mean, you probably are looking at the Archmage / Noble on the Dragon would be one first port of call. And then that we're going to get to the Handmaiden, but she's particularly important for something. But overall, I mean, still limited, I think, to 1 really, like either 2 really good casters or 1 really good caster and a Lord level hero. Like a lot of armies, you don't have the ability to like super spam level 4 casters here. That would be one thing. Yeah, which is kind of odd because obviously, like, you would expect the mages for like, they're not just elves, right? Though, like, I mean, elves inherently are a magical race. These elves, because they're very like Tolkien-esque classical elves, are like very, light of the Valar. Like everyone's got the good magic. They've got the good, like, so the fact that you can't run an overtly magical elven force, although they're not generally written as fighting that way, right? Like, normally they're major, whatever. Okay, so that's cool. So let's look at the core. We've got Elven Spearmen, Elven Archers, Lothern Seaguard, Illyrian Reavers, and Silverhelms. And if your general is a Handmaid and the Everqueen, you have up to 1 unit of Sisters of Avalon taken as a core choice. Interesting.
Whoa. Okay.
I wonder if that's a good idea.
Yeah, I do wonder if that's a good idea. Are they good?
I mean, they might be better than the things that you previously said. That might be, an indicator.
You mean the 3 different, or the 2 different archer units I discussed, and the 2 other combat units. So core. So this might be the first time someone's tuned in to listen to something about an army for the old world. Core is either something you can build around, like we see with dwarfs necessarily, or obviously it can be attacks, right? Because you want to take the minimum amount because better things can be found in all the other sections, which is kind of like an interesting rod the game itself has always made for its own back. They're like, that's the core. They're rubbish. And you're like, okay, but you got to take some. You're like, all right. And you're like, but the other stuff's way cooler. And you're like, well, I only want to take those.
And then for some armies, they're like, actually, no. You can take those guys too. And then those armies are like, yes. And they get to go. They get to go to the front of the line. There are some people out there who don't like that, who think that we should all be forced to pay the tax, pay the troll toll. I don't know how you feel about it. If core units should be always core units, and we shouldn't have these special units making their way into core like they're extra special.
I think it really showcases the lack of like intelligent game design from the designers. Like, obviously, Warhammer Fantasy Battle is and has been a really popular game up until its end, and then Old World has come in like a thunder, which is super cool. But either way, it's institutionally not really it's an iterative addition, the Old World, but it's an iteration without really trying to like look at some of the paradoxical problems in its own construction, right? So like, for instance, you should, from your core section, maybe be getting some of your like skirmish or more kind of like, they need a different role, right? They need a different role in the army. And some of them kind of do, like Reavers, they kind of have a role. But really, they should be looking at each individual unit and being like, how can we turn this into something that does something? And if a unit doesn't have a role, then, or it's in a class or role, however you want to describe it, and then obviously that class or role is much better spent somewhere else. You're only ever going to min and take that unit, which is kind of like not disappointing, but like, and it kind of makes sense, right? But you would genuinely like, I mean, Lothern Seaguard is a really good example, right? It's super cool, super unique unit. You would like to see them like build into that if you added the right context or the right units or whatever, you could hyper specialize into making that unit more viable than maybe some other version of itself. But that's an old world problem in of itself, and the core is affected by that just as much.
Yeah, because you're often being forced here, like you said, to take units that are just not as appealing as other ones who don't have any sort of secret spice, or it might be a little blander than others. There's some cool ones here for sure, but high elves are elite, so they're even their base guys are going to be a little more spendy, which means you got to take less of them. That's nice. But you know, if they're basic, like it used to be, high elves, Rob, high elves. 8th edition high elves, they got to do stuff. They saw places and did things that were absurd.
They had a banner.
They had a banner, but they were also I can't remember all of their silly rules, but they were one of those army. They were like Eldar and 40K. I don't know what the AOS equivalent is to that, but they were just always super good. And so like even just the regular dudes felt like shape-shifting ninja warriors. So you know, maybe we don't get that vibe right now in Old World for these particular core units.
Exactly. Right, so moving on to special, we got White Lions of Trace, which will be very exciting because this is surely one of the units we're going to build around in the Tracen kind of Army of Infamy. Swordmasters of Hueth, Phoenix Guard, Shadow Warriors, and Tyrannok Chariot. So, as Val quite rightly pointed out earlier, 3 elite infantry combat units in the White Lion Swordmasters of Phoenix Guard.
Plus Shadow Warriors, who apparently someone has taken before or knows what they are. I can't wait to find out what Shadow Warriors are. Oh,
Shadow Warriors are cool. They're like the Illithanar's kind of characters, but they're not. I mean, whatever. And then there's also a chariot, the Tyrannok Chariot. And then we got 1 unit of Dragon Prince of Calidor per 1,000 points. And if your general has the Tracen Hunter Elven Honor, up to 1 Lion Chariot of Trace may be taken as a special choice for 1,000 points. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. I was really worried I might not be able to take one of those extra. And if your general is a Sea Guard Elven Honor, you can take a Lothern Skycutter as a special choice. Ooh, absolutely giving me the options. What do you think about this?
Well, you know, they're giving you a little bit of customizability here by, again, being able to elevate a few of the rare choices into special. Are any of those really going to be clogging up? 0 to 1 Lothards, I mean, that's not a massive bump, but that's fine. Sorry, I trailed off there.
That's so okay.
Yeah, basically, the Tyrannok Chariots at special would have been kind of cool. It would be cool to see something bump that into core. But overall, I mean, the thing that's kind of a bummer is that all of these units are, dare I say, iconic.
They are. I mean, wow. I should start this off again. High Elves. Oh, they are so iconic for the Old World. I really hope we see them get absolutely everything that they need to make it to the tabletop in the way that we would like them to see. So yeah, they're very cool. And then for rare, you can have Sisters of Avalon, Lion Chariots at Trace, and Lothern Skycutters. Wow, I wonder which one you'll choose of those 3 in your 25% section. Then you got a Flamespire Phoenix or a Frostheart Phoenix, and then 2 Great Eagles and 2 Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, all in 1,000 pointos.
Per 1,000, that's right. Which means you get to, if we adopt the Warhammer World strategy for these limitations, for whatever reason, you could take 4 of them. The thing that caught my eye here, Rob, please tell me if you've ever seen this before. 0 to 1 Flamespire or Frostheart Phoenixes, not counting character mounts per 1,000 points. Have they ever said that? Is that just because this is one of the rare monsters that can be mounted that can also be a monster on its own?
Yeah, I think that's one of the rare cases.
Because that's interesting. Because like things like chariots, right? Like would a chariot, like if you have a rare chariot, like for example, that Lothern Skycutter is not limited per 1,000 points. But I don't know. It just makes me wonder. Like, is this sort of like lore familiar, where we're supposed to be applying the mount to the category that it's from?
Yeah, I understand
You know
what
what
you
I
mean.
mean?
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. I mean,
Because I have seen some comps out there that have tried to suggest that, and I've been like, nerd, we're not doing that. But maybe maybe this is where that idea came from, or maybe this is something obvious. Hit me in the comments, guys.
yeah,
We're gonna
let's
go with
know.
the Rob. Hit me in the
Let
comments.
us know. All right, then we've got Battlestar Bearer, High Elf Noble, and you can have some allies, and Mercenaries 20%. So as a roster, it does. So this is genuinely, like, when I did the first review of this a year ago, I was like, wow,
Yeah.
so many good options here, which was wrong. And then you then had. I was like, because you on the face of it, you have a ton of different missile units. You've got chariots and cavalry galore. You've got monsters. You've got war machines. You've got wizards. You've got all of the infantry that you could possibly want of different flavors. Really a good way to identify between the White Lion, Swordmasters, and Phoenix Guard. You could really like tell a story between those three. Yeah, like on paper, it's got some real opportunities, but unfortunately, when you're putting these models down, that's not going to really turn out to be. There's a structural issue with the game, not necessarily an army issue. Not looking at you, Dragon Princes.
It's what? Impetuous is a fine rule. So how are we going to handle this, Rob? Because there's going to be, because I know you want to be excited about High Elves. I know our audience wants to be excited about High Elves. We could call this Codex Double Dragon as Sisters of Avalorn and go have a nice morning. But like, how are we gonna front on this? Do we look forward to a nicer day?
Yeah,
or do we just try to take it as it comes?
Yeah, of course. Like, I think we'll go through all the units as we should, right? I think it's just really nice to be upfront with the audience. Old World has a structural problem, which we've talked about many times on this show. So if you are new, you might be like, "What's going on?" And there's kind of like two camps really. So there's if you want to play at an event, or play your models like in any particular way. Unfortunately, dragons are just much better than infantry. That's just the situation. But if you do, and even so, if you're just playing friendly local games at your club, and you decide, I'm going to put a high elf lord on a dragon, which by the way is an incredibly badass choice, and you should because it's cool, right?
Yes.
And you're a little upset that your Dragon Prince is impetuous and keep charging off into all the wrong directions, then just understand that what we're trying to say is you're absolutely right in those feelings. Those are true. Like White Lions, Swordmasters, and Phoenix Guard, I think all have one attack each. I'm pretty certain, which means for like as you know, quote unquote elite infantry, they're pretty garbage for a ton of different reasons, which we've covered in shows before. Which now, could you use them and maybe win an event with them? Yeah, sure. Like, Old World skill level is really low right now, and you can just absolutely just trundle a bunch of noobs. That's fine, right? Okay, that's actually one of the main ways I win games. Okay, so
this is what I like to call the golden hour of an edition, where Val can win games.
Yeah,
so
one day is in Chesapeake. I don't know. To pick me a place. Remote. The Maritimes. I'm not sure if they're playing good over there.
I'm pretty sure, actually, the Maritimes sent a bus of people to the F bunker when we ran the 8th edition thing. So I'm pretty sure we ain't winning RTTs out east by.
Okay. All right. Maybe not Pacific Northwest. Those guys are switched on. I don't know where we're going. We're going to have to go
Southern
north.
Ontario's pretty good. North, yes. We'll just go north, and we'll both run as one person RTT.
But either way, the point is the point is just to be clear before we go any further is that here's the list for you. It's Sisters of Avalorn and 2 dragons. Super simple. Now, there is a load of other stuff we're going to talk about, but just wanted to be really clear, because the problem with many of the Old World books is that they have a massive internal balance issue. But that is going to color our opinion of these things, and you should understand that context so that we could just go through it, right? Because, like, sure, I mean, I fucking love Phoenix Guard and White Lions. Wish they were cool, man. Wish they were cool. Okay?
And even Swordmasters, like, basically every unit in this is good. And thank you, Rob. Like, I all I was trying to get at is, like, there's also lots of people here who are just going to put these units on the table.
Go do it.
Go do it because they want to, and they play against folks who, are down with I'm gonna say self-nerfing. That sounds harsh, but it just means like are down with being like, maybe we don't take the dragon today. Rob and I are event players, and also we're people who love games, and we come at this probably from a game first, and then vibes perspective. And so if the game is pushing us in a choice direction that is obviously more efficient, that causes frustration because we think that the game should push us in directions that, make it look and feel a lot more like Warhammer. And one day, I think that'll happen. That day is not today. So, little disclosure about saltiness about what we're about to read, because I think both of us wish High Elves were super rad and badass on the table. I guess we've been just so used to being put down under the thumb of oppressive High Elf builds for years now.
Oh yeah,
that it's weird. It's weird to see these guys.
Why don't these have a 70% win rate? I don't know. I'm like, what? This doesn't seem right. Okay,
something is wrong.
Anyway, so we've got Elven honors. That's the first thing we're going to go look at now. So we're going to start looking at some special rules before we start looking at the magic items and stuff. So Elven honors, Lawmaster. To represent this, some characters from High Elves in the list may be given an Elven honor, chosen from the details on this page. Whew. Each honor gives a character certain benefits in the form of unique equipment and additional special rules. First up, you can have a Lawmaster, which is 35 points, where High Elf Lords only, a character of the Lawmaster Elven special honor, cannot be mounted. However, they become a level 1 wizard and knows one randomly generated spell from the law, following the laws of magic. Battle magic, elementalism, high magic, and illusion. May be equipped with the Sword of Hoeth. See page 187 for additional points if they do so. And gains the Elithimar armor and Lilith's blessing. We'll cover those later. What do you think of this? A good old Lawmaster of Hoeth. This is a way to recreate a Lawmaster of Hoeth, right?
Is that what this is for? Like, there's no actual specific. I guess there is no specific Lawmaster. The Hadouken guy, because he's back.
He's back as a miniature. Right? Hadouken, a level 1 wizard with a sword. On foot.
I'm okay. I'm all right.
In the front lines. So
right. I think I'd rather use Hadouken guy as just a good wizard.
A good wizard. Okay, so Val's referencing that level 1 wizards can really struggle in the magical game. Obviously, they got it reduced spell denial range, dispelling range, and also they obviously are rolling much less power when they roll them dice.
They're the tough looking guys who lose to Eminem in the rap battle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're Odd Future or whatever they're called. No, that's the other guy. I love that guy.
They got Mom Spaghetti all over them.
For shoresies. All right, next up for 20 points, you can have a Shadow Stalker. Cannot be mounted.
Okay.
Maybe equip with the Bow of Avalon, and for no additional points, if they do, they may not take any additional non-magical weapons. Cannot have heavy armor or full plate armor, but gains the Ambushes, Evasive, Fire and Fleet, and Move Through Cover Scouts special rule. Does it have a You Can't Murder Me with a Fireball special rule?
Well, why is that important? Fire and Flee? No. Evasive?
Yeah,
that could be a you can't catch me
on foot.
But move through cover. Scouts
sure. Move through cover is all good.
This is I guess this is so that you can put a character in your sick unit of shadow guys.
This is a cool way of recreating Elithanar, I think, is the concept, which I think is super cool. Use the old model, so you would have a character. Don't forget, these are all upgrades for characters, right? So you're gonna have a character. He's gonna have a bow. He's gonna ambush. He's gonna fire. One shot.
I'm just noticing, Rob, that you love High Elves.
I do.
You keep mentioning specific names and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You love High Elves.
I do. I know. This is crazy. This is a crazy statement. I actually quite like the Old World. Crazy statement. Let's not go into it.
I'm just saying that sometimes the love for fantasy in the Old World requires a certain seething resentment and hatred towards our High Elf overlords. So that maybe a little Stockholm syndrome developed over the years as they were swinging first before
I had
your
a High Elf army.
Of One Armies. You did. But
Yeah.
you usually lead with your ogre passion, your chaos dwarf passion, your there's another
Empire.
lizardman passion.
Empire. Yeah. It was all good.
There's some genuine love for the High Elves here.
Yeah, not Banner of the World Dragon, though. RIP. Right, Anointed of Assyria, 15 points. A character with the Anointed... Oh, sorry, I should let you read one. This is unfair. So a character with the Anointed of Assyria and Elven honor may be mounted on a Flamespire Phoenix or a Frostheart Phoenix, but cannot choose any other mounts. May be equipped with ceremonial halberd, gains the blessings of Assyrian fear and witness destiny special rule, and places the Valar of Ages special rule with the veteran special rule. Okay, so this is just your opportunity to, again, just recreate. This is kind of interesting. It's just a series of upgrades to really just recreate characters that were in the previous roster, like in the Warhammer Fantasy Battle 8th edition roster, which is something that they do already, right?
Yeah, it meant that they didn't have to have a billion different unit cards. I guess they just have a billion different ones of these. But yeah, it is kind of a weird way to do it, isn't it? But yeah, it gives you, I guess, different flavors of the same heroes, essentially.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of neat. And then you can customize, I guess, beyond this with magic weapons and stuff. Usually,
some
but
cases,
no, you're absolutely
yes.
right.
Yeah. Do you want to carry on? Do the next one. The Blood of Calador.
The Blood of Calador. A character with the Blood of Calador Elven honor, but not their mount, must be mounted on either a bodied Elven steed, a sun dragon, a moon dragon, or a star dragon. Pardon me, has a +1 modifier to their weapon skill characteristic, making them very weapon skilled, may be equipped with full plate armor for no additional points, and gains the dragon armor and impetuous special rules.
Oh. Now, impetuous is kind of interesting. So just for people to know, impetuous is where if you're able to declare a charge, you'll roll a dice, and on a 4-up, you do charge? Yeah. On a 4-up, you do, or a 1 to 3, you don't charge. One of the two, I can't remember. But
yeah, one of them's good. 50-50.
You basically go do a charge. So that's kind of cool as an ability. It's kind of also not cool as an ability. It's interesting.
I think it's the opposite of cool as an ability. One might say it's not an ability at all. It's a liability, one might call it. But yeah, Dragon Princes are one of those impetuous units that a lot of people went probably goes like Pistoliers, Dragon Princes, as far as because at least a Dragon Prince is a Dragon Prince. If a Dragon Prince accidentally gets too horny and like runs into something, he's still a Dragon Prince, right? Which is probably pretty good at something. So that's one benefit that's one like not so bad element of him having impetuous. But yeah.
So basically what you're doing is you're taking a normal character who you can already put on a Sun Dragon, Moon Dragon, or Star Dragon. You're giving them +1 weapon skill and you're getting some free plate armor. But instead, you lose the ability to control them as you would like to in the game for 15 points. I'm going to say no thanks.
But then thematically, they'd be more cool though, right?
They would be the Blood of Calador. That would be fun. Yeah.
They fit in better with their Dragon Prince homies.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, also you can have a really fun time with that. Actually, like your dragon charges in other side of the board, a place you didn't want to go, and gets redirected somewhere else. You could just be like, they'll be like, "Why did you do that?" But like, actually, it's because he's got the Blood of Calador, as you well know, right? So,
and then you hit him with a vial of your blood.
Yeah, well,
spray it at them.
I'm assuming at this point you're dressed like a high elf, as you say it. So next one is the Trace and Hunter, which is only 10 points. So these are cheap at least, which I think is nice. So a character with Trace and Hunter Elven honor may only be mounted on a White Lion chariot, but cannot choose any other options. May be equipped with a Trace and Great Blade for no additional points. If they do say they're cannot take any magical weapons, and gains the Lion Cloak, move through cover, and stubborn special rule.
Not a bad package.
Not a bad package. How do you feel about that?
I like a good package. White Lions. I guess the Shrasons will be talking to a lot more with the Arcane Journal coming out, but maybe put a pin in this one because I don't know if necessarily this is a number one choice right now, but maybe in the future.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Yeah, this will be an interesting one to come back to post the book. All right, Warden of Safri is yours, please.
Oh, yes. A character with the Warden of Safri, Elven honor, cannot be mounted. May be equipped with a Sword of Hoeth for no additional points. If so, they may not take any additional non-magical weapons. Gains the Deflect Shots, Tholmar armor, and Killing Blow. Special rules. So, the cannot be mounted things, always a bit of a bummer. But again, these are all theming them based on a unit they're tied to. And we all would love Swordmasters of Hoeth to be super awesome, and we'll find out about them later.
Is Safri like the Sapphics? Like, as in...
What's the origin of it?
Is that where it's from? Like the Sapphic movement? That would be interesting. Just an isle of gay, like lesbian elves. That would
I just learned the term Sapphic.
Oh yeah, roommates.
I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, they were roommates. A historical reference. Shout out to #R the Sapphic movement, part of me. Anyway, doesn't make a lot of sense if that's the case, but either way. Right, so then we've got Pure of Heart, which is free. Amazing. Unless this character is fleeing, all friendly units within their command range can use their leadership characteristic instead of their own. In addition, this character and any unit is joined automatically pass any panic test is required to make. Now, the first half of this was much better before the FAQ, and now it's not as good. However, the second half is still nice and it's free.
What did the FAQ hurt in this?
The command range.
Within their command range, use their leadership characteristic instead of their own.
But now it got didn't it get FAQ'd that you would use their it gets reduced.
Modified. Yes.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
So this isn't as good. Yeah, this isn't.
But inspiring presence is inspiring presence. Also, this isn't inspiring presence, is it?
No, it's Pure of Heart, which is a great song.
Pure of Heart, and also that means that you can't turn this off with things like that necromancy bubble, which often will stop you from using inspiring presence because this ain't inspiring presence. So that's pretty good. That's really good, in fact.
You also can't turn off the Warden of Safri. He's always turned on.
He's always switched right on. Or she, apparently. Pure of Heart. And also, Rob, we got to talk about this because you can't beat the price. That's right. It's free.
It's free. Yeah, I mean, that's an amazing ability for free. Like,
yes. So Pure of Heart. I think this is also one that maybe because it's free, but also because pretty useful. Gives you a bunch of extra generals. You're probably going to see this one a ton.
Yeah, I think this is one of those common things that you see taken a lot. Like ignoring panic test is also great as well. Sea Guard is free. A character the Sea Guard Elven honor may only be mounted on a Luthern Skycutter, may be equipped with a war bow for no additional points. And if so, they may not take any additional magical weapons, and they gain the naval discipline and rallying cry special rule. So you can get yourself a character on a Skycutter. It's quite fun. I like the idea of flying a little character around on the Skycutter. It's cool. Skycutter's a chariot, right? So it moves like a chariot.
It's a flying chariot, but yes, it does move like a chariot. However, I think that is actually a not awful build to have some characters up on Skycutters. So this could be a very useful one for sure.
For shorties. Okay, so those are all of our Elven honors that we've taken. They're not quite as... oh, no, wait, that's not true. Sorry. Oh, no, that is true. Yeah, that's all of them. They're not quite as impactful as the upgrades that we have seen you be able to take for, let's say, Warriors of Chaos as an example, or High Elves. Not High Elves, Wood Elves, which I feel like Wood Elves had a little bit more options available to them there. What do you think?
I don't know. I think a lot of the not super special feelings of some of these has more to do again with like just limitations of Old World at this moment, because a lot of these are saying cannot be mounted.
Yeah.
And then the ones that are mounted get rules like impetuous. So that might be part of the bummer, but you are getting a lot of rules usually for the amount of points that you're getting. For the amount of points that you're paying, including as low as free. So I mean, I don't think they're that bad. A lot of these things, like if you are taking one of the underlying units involved in these, interestingly, the Handmaiden is not one of these Elven honors. It's an actual individual model.
Yeah, that is interesting. Maybe it's to do with the kits that they were going to return at the time.
Who knows?
They have done this a lot, though, haven't they? Across all of the rule books, they've basically taken something that did exist and they've broken it out into something else, and kind of made a kit bashing and kind of build a thing as some options. It's kind of cool.
You see it in demons. Like in demons, there are basically, what are they called? Gifts, maybe, or heralds of something. Anyway, where they turn them into things like sloppity bile pipers, which never existed before. So yeah, like there's definitely examples like this. It's an interesting way of doing it, and it allows you to go either vanilla generic and then open up a lot of things, or theme your army around something for a reasonable cost. So do we want to look at maybe some of the high elf special rules before we go further? Because there's a ton of them, I just realized, and I would like to know what they mean.
Oh, for sure. Let's go have a little look at them. And there are quite a lot. So the first one is the Arrows of Isha. Okay. So any bow, long bow, short bow, war bow, or bow of Avalon, carried by a model of this special rule, has armor bane 1 special rule and an armor piercing characteristic of -1, which is pretty strong on some of the bows.
That feels good.
Feels good.
Unequivocally, feels good. Don't know if I said the word right, but that feels good.
Yeah.
Any comment? Blessing of Assyrian?
Yes. Go for it.
A model with this special rule has a 5+ ward save against any wounds suffered that were caused by an attack that has the flaming attack special rule.
It's not terrible, the flaming attack special rule 5+ ward, because quite a lot of like the meta picks that are out there, like Warriors of Chaos. Oh no, they're not flaming attacks, I don't think, in sorcered weapons. But like Iron Drakes, they're flaming. So like, and they're pretty prevalent in the game and the meta. Fireball, obviously, Pillar of Fire, obviously. So there's a lot of cases where that comes up. It doesn't come up in all the cases, right?
For a very toughness 3 army, that Fireball and Pillar of Fire, big problems for you. Interesting though that in general the flaming special rule triggers more things like this than benefits for you. But yes, you just made me realize that, sometimes those flaming attacks, ward saves are good because there are some very prevalent hot fire.
I think that's one of the things that makes dwarfs so good is the Iron Drakes unit. Like a unit of Iron Drakes or a unit similar to Iron Drakes is a unit you would always try and get rid of with like a fireball. You'd be like, oh, what? You got like a 10, 12, 15 person unit that I was going to fireball that down so it's not as effective anymore. And they're like, 3+ ward save, baby. Or I think is it 5+? It might be a 5+, actually. But whatever.
Something good.
It's something
and
good.
Like all Chaos Dwarves, I think, have some level of innate fire protection too.
Yeah, which is really good. Dragon Armor. A model of this special has a 6+ ward save against any wounds suffered. In addition, a wizard with a special rule may wear armor without penalty, which is
there you go.
Obviously really good if you're going to put them on a dragon.
Yes, or any situation, to be quite honest. Wizards in armor, this would be one of 2 options. These guys in Warriors of Chaos, maybe?
Probably. Maybe Chaos Dwarfs.
I think there's one Empire one that lets you take, like it includes some light armor, so you get a little bit, but not so bad. Not so bad.
That's very good. That's very good. The 6+ ward save is not anything to sniff at as well. Like if you at least want to roll it, when you like roll a 6+ ward save clutch on a cannonball, it feels amazing.
Everyone loves that one, except for the cannonball firer. Probably less happy. Elven reflexes, once the bane of the meta, once the most frustrating thing, the kind of rule that when someone says they have it, you say, hey, can I just see your army book for a second? I need to read that because it sounds bullshit. But in these days, still not bad. A model with this special rules, but not its mount, has a +1 modifier to its initiative characteristic to a maximum of 10 during the first round of any combat.
Very good. This obviously stacks with the initiative bonuses you get from charging. So you can be basically on the charge +4 to your initiative, and this is going to blow your mind, but elves have actually got already pretty high initiative.
Pretty decent.
Pretty decent. So they're always going to be hitting first, which is good. And even in turns in which they're charged, +1 is still nice. I'll take that.
And if you're rocking some spears, maybe even a little additional bonus on top of that. So yeah, there's That's pretty good.
But it's
pretty
definitely,
good.
yeah. And not to talk about what it was, because it was literally a decade ago and a completely different game system. But like, yes, this is nice. Genuinely, +1 modifier to initiative is great.
Wasn't that long ago for some of us, Rob?
I apologize. Alithimir armor and barding. A model with this special rule may reroll any rolls of 1 when making dangerous terrain tests. In addition, a wizard with this special rule may wear armor without penalty.
Okay.
So another opportunity for that as well. Rerolling dangerous terrain tests is good, especially if you're playing here at the TSN Arena, because all the forests are dangerous.
It's a dangerous place.
Dangerous place. But there's a big cry right now that people don't want terrain to be dangerous. Big cry. They don't want
cry,
it.
like from your user base or just in general?
Just Jack. Shout out to Jack.
Just Jack. He cries loud. He cries loudly.
Yeah. But shout out to Jack. He's got it going on.
You got to plan some Canadian square-based events then, Jack, because that's one of my few things that I change. There you go. We have a schism. So one day when future churches of Warhammer are being formed, there will be the Robites and the Valiants, and they will follow 2 very important distinctions. One, woods are dangerous, and the other one they aren't. All right. If Ithilmar weapons?
Alithimar weapons, yeah.
When engaged in combat, a model with this special rule that is fighting with a hand weapon may re-roll any rolls to hit of a natural 1.
Pretty good. Pretty good, Alithimar weapons.
Oh, we got some italics here. Note that this special rule only applies to a single non-magical hand weapon, does not apply to a model's mount, should it have one. If the model is using 2 hand weapons or any other sort of weapon, the special rule ceases to apply.
Oh, it's good, damn it. It's actually really bad. Okay, perfect.
I think so. Orcs and Gobos are an army that didn't get that condition. So their big choppas or their choppas rule just applies to everything they got, and the choppas rule is sick. Mm-hmm. This is kind of a little bit of an unnecessary nerf, I think, to what is usually wielded by infantry. So this is something I think that you could unrestrict, and it would be completely cool, and it would give them a bit more of a vibe, right?
Absolutely.
Because we're not re-rolling. We're not like re-rolling everything. Like, no, that would be crazy.
That would be crazy. Then we've got Lilith's Blessing. Once per turn, a model with a special rule may re-roll a single failed casting roll. Oof. So good. That's so hot right now. Once per turn, you need that clutch spell. It's happening. An amazing rule.
That's great. No notes. The Lion Cloak. A model with a special rule improves its armor value by 1 to a maximum of 2+ against non-magical shooting attacks.
I think you'll find that that's what they're going to build a whole arcane journal around, dude. So let's really focus on that for a moment. A model with a special
we got to practice our upbeat takes, right?
A model with a special. So you got a lion cloak. You've got a chariot with a lion cloak or some lion warriors. A model with a special rule improves the armor value by 1 to a maximum of 2+ against non-magical shooting attacks. Okay. Is there a lot of non-magical shooting attacks in the game?
Yeah.
Such as?
Things. Fire, the drakes.
Iron drakes? They're not runic, are they? No.
Probably. Oh, Outriders?
Outriders, let's go.
Outriders,
90 goblin bows with poison.
Poison? Mm-hmm.
Okay, so improve the armor value by 1. Nice.
Improve that armor value by 1 in those cases, yes. Yeah.
Why not give it with? Like a 5-up armor save?
Probably not very high the armor save to start with. Yeah, I'd say that's probably an accurate point.
Interesting. But listen, that's going to be cool. So we're going to have a whole army that's going to get +1 against some, well, no, not all shooting. That would be too much. Some shooting. That's available. Next up, Martial Prowess. A unit with a special rule can make supporting attacks to its flank or rear, as well as to its front. I quite like that. I did get really horny for the big brick of spearmen getting charged and just being like, I'm going to jab everything. And then I realized they'd never swing. But in a world where they would, it's pretty cool.
What full-blooded Englishman wouldn't get hot and bothered by a
Quite cool.
nice square.
Nice square.
By a what are they? Is that? I think it's just forming a square, right? That was an anti-cavalry technique, I believe.
Yeah, you just form a square.
Yeah, form a square.
Love forming
Solve
a square.
everything.
Yeah.
American Circle Up Wagons. By the way, Buffalo Bills fans out there, I'm very sorry. We'll keep moving on. But yeah, you see American Circle Wagons, Brits, they form squares.
What do you like this or no?
If supporting attacks were a bigger deal, it'd be great. But you got to be rocking spearmen. So your spearmen or sea guard, which maybe. So why not? It's a rule. Valor or Valor of the Ages. Valor. A unit with this special rule may reroll any failed panic test caused by taking heavy casualties or by being fled through by a friendly unit.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that. It adds more stability to the army structure. Like if the game did end up being a bunch of infantry blocks stood around and stuff getting killed, then actually that kind of gives you a more like stable kind of front line, which I think is quite nice. I don't hate that. I think that's fun. I still do think that they felt like that they were just going to see like 12 to 14 infantry blocks running around slapping into each other. And I really felt like that's what they imagined it being built like.
Yeah, I think that's what I think that was the intent. And then also somehow invincible dragons, also clearly an intent. So the two, one of those things is going to give.
Yes. One of those. Okay, so those are the special rules. Now we'll go look at the magic items. And I mean, it feels like Lilia's Blessing is the most obviously singular important thing here, the reroll of casting, and mainly because of how like games of Warhammer are like 0-1 sum games. So it like in order to achieve X, I need Y to happen, and Y more reliably happening means I'll do X. Charges are a really good example. The ability to reroll a charge. You do all your positioning, you do your buffs, you've done a myriad of failure points, and then you fail a charge. So anything that makes things more consistent, especially at like those and/or situations, obviously super impactful. Whereas like an occasional re-rolling of a 1 in combat or whatever, obviously increases the efficiency of when you get to do the thing, but being able to make it so if you can do the thing, which is Lilia's Blessing, feels far more impactful. If that makes sense, did I explain that well enough?
No, it makes total sense. Increases reliability. My thing with it is I would have to remember that very specific scenario of re-rolling panic, because it's not re-rolling everything. It's just only panic. So I would just have to remember I have that ability. Panic also not what it's like. So panic also sometimes. Do you have to re-roll the panic? That's actually interesting.
Oh, interesting. Do you want to? Is it elective?
May re-roll. Okay, fantastic. Because sometimes a panic check, a failed panic check is a good thing because you get to fall back in good order and reform. So, yeah, it's just dependent. So that gives you even more flexibility. And can you re-roll a successful? Does it may re-roll a panic check? Hold on. That's fun. Only failed panic cause. Okay, cool.
Right, so we're going to look at the magic items. So we've got magic weapons. First, we've got the White Sword, the White Witcher. The White Sword is strength +3, AP 2, can only be equipped on units that are infantry or chariot. However, its magical attacks, Monster Slayer, requires 2 hands, strike last, and is only 70 points. He says only, but I mean, that's still a badass sword to stick on someone and go for it. Put it on a chariot, send it. Just absolutely send it. Right, screaming the White Wolf. Cutter. Yeah, just screaming White Wolf as you go. The White Wolf!
Although it's a sword, so that doesn't work. If there was a white axe, maybe. Yeah, okay. What would I say about this? I would say is a pretty good fit for my terrible event format of everyone has to take their most expensive faction special weapon, because at least it's fun. It's got Monster Slayer. It gives you a big strength bonus. Got -2 AP. The strike last thing just means you go to initiative 1, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
So we have seen things that can maybe juice that initiative once it's brought down. So on the charge, you might still not be striking last. So I mean, there's ways to mitigate that. Requires 2 hands, always a bummer because that means you don't get to use a shield, which elves might want. So yeah, we talked a lot of time about a sword that you're probably taking for the vibes.
Oh, but that's a great pick for vibes. Listen, I'm really happy with vibe picks as long as they're great vibe picks. Like I got no problem with the Impetuous Dragon Prince as long as they absolutely thunder. They smash. But they don't. All right, the Blade of the Leaping Gold is 50 points, and its strength as user. It's got no AP, but it does have Armor Bane 2 with extra attacks plus D3 and magical attacks. That's pretty fun.
I would give it fun. It's extra attacks with no AP guaranteed, and also no strength bonus, and you're usually strength 3. That's a no thank you.
You're not enjoying that one? Not enjoying that one?
No, I don't think it does. It gives you more low strength attacks with no AP.
But that's one of the things that we're trying to kill in the old world right now is like unarmored, low toughness things.
You can give it to a non-lord level hero, only 50 points. So you could slap that on to I guess a noble or whatever. That's something.
Okay, I agree. What's up next, babe?
Up next is the Reaver Bow. Reaver Bow is 30 inches, strength +1, magical attacks. Reaver Bow counts as a bow of Avalon. The wielder of the Reaver Bow may take a number of shooting attacks equal to their attack characteristic rather than the usual 1. This model does not suffer any modifiers for firing multiple shots. Okay?
Yeah. Okay. I don't hate that. It's 30-inch range, strength +1. I'll take it.
So it counts as a bow of Avalorn, so that means that it also gets the AP -1 and armor bane?
Yeah, well, let's go look at the stats for the Bow of Avalon, which is one of the special equipment that you do get in the Armory of Ulthuan. So their Armor Bane 1, their magic attacks, and their Volley Fire, 30 inches strength as user. So that's what a Bow of Avalon is.
Yeah, seems good.
It's good. It's great. It's great. It's what the old Sisters of Avalon are equipped with, and they are popular. They are good. So
they seem to be a popular choice. That's correct. Yes. Yeah.
So 40 points, though. I don't know if you wouldn't just spend that on some more Sisters, maybe, but I guess you're adding into the you're adding it in, if that makes sense.
So what I was referring to there too is that it also would have Arrows of Isha, which is a special rule for all longbow, shortbow, warbow, or bow of Avalorns. So it also has Armor Bane 1 and an additional AP of -1.
Which is cool.
That's pretty damn good, I think, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Which is cool. Like a nice, fun bow. Just keep plinking stuff at range. Strength +1. I don't know what you're hitting with that, but I guess you're just throwing dice at people as much as you can, right? Then you got Foe Bane, which is 20 points, which is a close combat weapon. Strength same as use, it gives you magical attacks. And when the wielder of the Foe Bane makes it a wound roll, a roll of a 4 is always a success, regardless of the target's toughness, which is actually pretty cool into a bunch of dragons. A bunch of 4-ups. Try and make that work. Then you've got no AP, so they're going to save it. But you are going to at least get to roll. One of the worst things is not ever wounding the dragon, but now you get to at least wound the dragon with your probably 3 attacks, maybe 4.
I mean, the good thing though is that it's 20 points.
That's great.
So it's pretty good, and your low strength isn't a big deal here, which is good. So. You're all, I don't know, because there's gonna be lots of stuff that you're wounding on 5s or 6s. So yeah, that's not bad. I wonder if this does ever appear, but of all of these, probably, pardon me, one of the least offensive.
Yes, I think this is definitely one of the least offensive for sure. Okay, magical armor. Do you want to go first?
The Armor of Calidor, 35 points. The Armor of Calidor is a suit of full plate armor. Nice. In addition, its wearer has a 5+ ward save against any wounds suffered. Perfect. We love that. Great. Full plate of armor and also super cheap, 35 points. Not bad. 5 points more than your so yeah, that's perfectly cromulent. Love it.
Love it. Dragon helm is 10 points, maybe worn with other armor. Perfect. I've got armor of Calador and I've got a dragon on my head now. The way the dragon helm improves his armor by 1. Oh my god, to maximum 2+. In addition, I have a 6 ward save against any wounds suffered by flame attacks. But I don't care about that because what I want to do is just have full plate armor and I get +1 to my save and then have some bard in and I want to have a 2-up armor save and a 5-up ward save and I want to just shout fuck the free world, right? As I just launch at someone and hopefully for some reason I'm also on a toughness 6 dragon and I'll just send it. It's only 10 points. It's amazing.
I mean, you just painted a nice picture for me, so I'm in. I'm in on whatever you just put down.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm ready.
Lore Master's Cloak. The bearer of the Lore Master's Cloak and any unit they have joined has a 4+ ward save against any wounds suffered that were caused by a magic missile.
Oh. Okay. That's amazing.
Pretty good.
Yeah. 4-up ward save.
I mean, a 4-up ward save is always good, right?
Yeah, that's good.
So,
but it's not always a 4-up ward save.
It's not always a 4-up ward save. But I mean, like, it's the Lore Master's Cloak, so it's a talisman. So maybe this is in a bunker somewhere that might legitimately be getting hit by, fireballs. So it is a little specific. However, it's not against flaming attacks, so that's something. Would love to see magical vortices included everywhere that magic missile is included.
I agree.
But yeah, no, I think it's not bad, not bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that just against magical attacks. Full stop. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean that'd be pretty heavy though.
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty heavy.
That's true. Okay, so then we've got the Opal Amulet, which is 20 points, single use, an Opal Amulet, and this is a very common magic item. I do like the concept of very common magic items, like paupers in the street being like, "Get out of here! I don't need this trash." Anyway, an Opal Amulet,
or like they're just opening their booster pack and be like, "Oh yeah, oh come on, I got like 10 of these."
Yeah, I don't need these. An Opal Amulet gives it a bearer a 2-up ward save against a single wound, which you see stacked. We've seen this taken like up to 3 times, right, on some characters because they're like, right, big issue, 2-up ward, get rid of it, 2-up ward, get rid of it, right?
That seems good.
That's really good. Really good. Really good. Because one of the key ways of taking out a dragon is to shoot it with a cannonball. And if you're like, okay, well, that one's scary, I'm just going to 2-up it. So that's pretty good. Do it 2-up it 3 times.
You know what? And you don't even really need it for that situation because you've already failed the 2+ to wound when you fired the cannon. So you don't even need it.
Yeah, exactly. Right, Magic Standards. You got the Banner of Arcane Protection, which is 70 points. A unit carrying the Banner of Arcane Protection gains the Magic Res 3 special rule. In addition, friendly units within 6 inches of this model carrying the standard gain the Magic Res 1 special rule. So this is in the right meta, like in the right context, like enough stuff is happening where there is a magical fireball meta, or there is a bunch of like debuff. There's a big strong debuff meta that's being cast on an individual unit. And if you did want to build a Death Star, Magic Res 3 on a Death Star is amazing.
Very good.
Like really good.
I would love to see command range here instead of within 6 inches. Would be one of my downside. 70 points, when you think of how much like putting magic res, like stacking magic res on a unit costs, it doesn't get to 70 points to get -3 because you can do it with common magic items. But the fact that it also gives you a bubble, I'd say this isn't awful. 70-point banner is expensive though, and it probably limits it mostly to the BSP. But yeah, like you said, in the right meta, maybe this is. I mean, that's a -3 magic res is gonna make things very difficult to target that unit with, right?
Yeah,
even really good casters.
Yeah, a level 4 versus a level 4 is there's now a swing of 3 points on that, right? It's huge. Next one.
Battle Banner for 60 points. When calculating its combat result, a unit carrying the Battle Banner may claim an additional bonus of D3 combat result points. Very good.
That's great. 60 points is a lot for that, but it's still good.
However, if that 60 points is going to take your unit from being useful to not useful to useful to maybe being able to combat res something, Battle Banner is good. So that would be like your trick for infantry these days. A lot of times is because they're all dead. in the front rank because they got charged by something, they need static combat res. So that would be your bonus scores from like ranks and other stuff like this. So ideally, you can stack a lot of static res, so that no matter even if you didn't do any damage, you might still be able to win the combat. Specifically, if you've challenged the dragon that charged you, and you can get up over a static res of 7. That's the magic number. The battle banner gives them that option or that opportunity.
Yeah, I really want to do a quick tight 10 on my rage about combat res as a stat, which I'll come back to later. Yeah, like it would be a fun time. The Lion Standard is 25 points, and a unit carrying the Lion Standard automatically passes any fear or terror tests it's required to make, which is not bad.
Yeah.
Especially if, like, I don't know, if you were going for a big bunker and you wanted to have, like, probably you go battle banner, war banner, and you just be like, I've got crazy combat res, but like, I don't know, terror. I've seen 1,000 points of Chaos Warriors charge off the board with a terror test. So
they would have liked a little lion in their loins for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And then last one,
Banner of Illyrian. Illyrian. A unit carrying the Banner of Illyrian gains the move through cover special rule for 20 points. Fine.
Yeah, super fine. Yeah, that's fine. Move through cover. Depends if you're playing in the Val pack or the Rob pack. If you're playing through the Rob pack, obviously you don't want to step into those forests. It's scary. So into enchanted items, the Nullstone is 75 points. Whilst within the command range of the bearer, all wizards, friend or foe, suffer a -1 to their casting and dispel rolls. In addition, during the command subphase of their turn, if there are not if not engaged in combat, this character may attempt to use the Nullstone by making a leadership test. Using that unmodified leadership. If the test is passed until the start of next turn subphase, this character cannot be targeted by any spells and is immune to the effect of any spells. So a couple of the stipulations there. Obviously, can't be in combat. Got to pass the leadership test. Can't be affected by spells. 75 points. I'm gonna say I'd pay 15 points for that.
15?
10.
We can go a little higher than that.
Nah.
For immunity, we just talked about Magic Res 3 being good for 70 points.
Yeah, to a specific like brick.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's also not immunity. It's a stipulated immunity.
Yeah, but they're high leadership. I mean, the 75 points makes it a non-starter for me, just because it doesn't let you do a lot of other things. It is cool that it's an enchanted item, not an arcane item, despite it feeling very magical.
It does feel magical.
So, like, although then you still only have 25 points to work with after that. So, yeah. I think it's the 75 points that kills it, because this is, I don't know. If it was 40 points, this is a hard one for me. In the chat, how much should this cost? Because I think this is very strong. Like, that ability is super strong, right? Immunity to spells if you pass a leadership check and you're like probably leadership 8 or 9, right? It's like automatic, buddy.
Easy peasy.
No problem.
No problem.
So I don't know. That one appeals to my Timmy tendencies. Is it Jimmy? Is it Timmy? I can't remember what it is. Well, the one that likes combos and cool abilities.
It's actually Capricorn. But
is it Capricorn?
Yes, Capricorns. Next one.
Cloak of the Beards. Oh, sorry. Cloak of Beards. Very different. Ooh, sorry, Dowie. The wearer of the Cloak of Beards causes terror. However, so unnerving is the cloak that other models cannot use the wearer's leadership. I mean, it is a cloak of face scalps. So gross. Also, why would non-dwarfs be afraid of that? I don't know, but
yeah, I don't know either. I don't know. Maybe they're just unkempt. Maybe we're in an age of the old world where beard oil and generally, being a barista hipster is in vogue. So
could be. So the people are just looking. I mean, there are a lot of good beards in the old world, so maybe that's why. Because it's not just dwarves. Like, there's a lot of fine facial hair. So maybe that's why it causes terror. Also, if this was locked to dwarves, we would be poo-pooing it. So round of applause. 30 points to give the bearer terror. Pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Should we do the next one?
Seed of Rebirth. Oh, yeah, go for it.
No, you go for it. Feel
sure.
free.
Please, after you. The Seed of Rebirth gives its bearer the regen 5+ special rule. Bum, 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 bum. That's the good one. It's a common magic item. 20 points, gives you regen, no flammable. So that means you always get regen for 20 points on every single character you have. This is a very good item. Also kind of confusing, but nice.
Why is it confusing?
Why is it confusing?
Yeah.
Because it's 20 points and common and gives regen that cannot be taken away. So it's not flammable.
Mm-hmm.
So every character will have Seed of Rebirth, or should, if it's going to be getting touched by anything. And that's in fact what you will see, is every character will have Seed of Rebirth.
That makes sense. I agree.
Is my take correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just it's a very stackable item, right?
Yeah. This plus the whatever protection. That's a 50-point package for a 5-up, 5-up.
What's interesting is just kind of like taking a step back for a moment, is as we're going through this, we're an hour into the review, and as of yet we've not talked about a unit, and that's not, I don't think we're being particularly slow. We're trying to be, it's a deep dive, it's meant to be very specific.
Deep dive.
But all of this is just about how you're kitting out and loading out characters, and the number of options are really good, but some of the options are a bit nah, or a bit too expensive, and so immediately they're kind of reduced. But it is nice seeing, and obviously some are super efficient. I would like to see, when they are writing this many options, I would like to see some of them have more of a vibes feel for kitting out your characters and making them more engaging. I think that would be really worthwhile. All right, anyway, the Sigil of Assyrian is 40 points. Single use, a wizard may use this item instead of making a dispel attempt. If they do so, the spell automatically dispelled, and no dispel is required. So, big important spell for the opponent. It's going to cost you 40 points, but you can just be like, no, you're not having it, and I'm going to shut you down. Pretty interesting. You still are going to have to be in dispel range, so that's an important thing to point out. So not board wide, but not too bad. Single case, I think it's really. I think it's a lot of points for a single case, but maybe that single spell could win or lose someone the game.
Yeah, I guess if there is a scenario that you're really afraid of, I mean, this is an old school dispel scroll, right? And it's common. So this might be a case where you slap these on your level 1s or 2s instead of investing other things into them, and they can just auto shut down things. Although, of course, their dispel range is a little more restricted. But yeah, I mean, just an automatic dispel, considering that the dispel scroll, I think, is 20 points, twice the points, and you just automatically shut it off, unless of course it's perfectly invocated. Feels not awful. Just, I don't know if it's something that you really need to prioritize.
Okay, next up,
a lot of magic defense. That's something I'll give credit to. There seems to be a lot of magical defense available to you as high elves, which is a cool little trait. But it does come at a price, as we've noted numerous times. A Nulian crystal for 30 points, value item, once per turn. Okay. Upon successfully casting a spell, the bearer of the Anulian crystal can choose to forget that spell and immediately generate another, not including signature spells, in the usual manner.
Okay. Once per turn, upon successfully casting a spell, the bearer of the Anulian crystal can choose to forget the spell and immediately generate another. Okay.
Note that it is possible the wizard might generate the spell they just forgot, or one forgotten in a previous turn. Consider it fate. Okay, so the one that you're trying to forget goes back in the pool, and then you can go and try and get it. This, would you not just rather have? You might just rather have Lore Familiar.
Yeah, for sure.
But because it's 30 points, I'm trying to think, and it can't be the signature spell. I don't know. I wonder if anyone's ever used this. It's kind of, this is the old high elf. This is the old high magic ability, I believe. And in that case, you could pick a spell. You could pick a spell from anything.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah. So that is not the case here. This is whatever the choose forget the spell and immediately generate another. not including signature spells in the usual manner. So I assume this. I think the implication here is that it's the lore that you declared on your army roster. So I don't know. That's fun. I don't hate it.
No, me either. Silvery Wand is 15 points. The the Silvery Wand knows one more spell chosen usual way than normal for their level of wizardry.
Fantastic.
Pretty nice. Love that. Love an extra spell. That's great.
And that's 15 points versus 30, and you've got a pretty good chance of, there's a 20% chance you don't get the one you want. So Silvery Wand, pretty good.
And all of that before you even start reading about a unit. And we're not finished. There's one final piece. All of these extra special rules. We've got the Law of Saffrey. So this is a special spell law available only to the High Elves. So first we've got Handed Cane, which is an assailment spell cast on A8. A single enemy model the caster is engaged with suffers a single strength 4 hit with no armor save permitted. Ward and regen saves can be attempted as normal. So single strength 4 hit, just that skips armor saves. Cast on 8, absolute garbage. So we can move on, which is nice. Okay. Do you want to do the next one?
Sure. Courage of Anarion. Type enchantment. Goes on a 10+, 15-inch range. Remains in play. Whilst the spell is in play, the target friendly unit gains the Unbreakable special rule. If this spell is cast, the effects of any other enchantment previously cast on the target unit immediately expire. The spell may target a friendly unit engaged in combat. Woo! That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Am
I crazy? Am I missing a condition that I don't like? I guess remains in play means it can be dispelled. But on the turn that you cast it, it's safe.
Unbreakable's cool. It's a cool spell.
Unbreakable is good. I mean, it's, for considering how much Unbreakable costs to usually pay for and how much units are Unbreakable, because it ain't what it used to be, that's still not so bad. That's cool.
Yeah, agreed. And then Vol's Unmaking is a hex, which is a casting value of 11 and a range of 12 inches. Spell can only target enemy characters. However, it may target an enemy character that's within range of that caster. Of the caster control, that's within range and the caster control line of sight too. Regardless of the usual rules for targeting characters and may even target an enemy character, the casting player chooses a single magic item carried by the target. The magic item is immediately unmade, rendering it completely useless. The chosen magic item cannot be used for the remainder of the game. Pretty cool.
Holy shit, hold on a second. All right, hold on a second. The spell can... So you have to be able to see them. You have to be 12 inches away.
Yeah.
And you can do it to someone in combat. And if the spell is passed, you just destroy the magic item?
Yeah.
Okay, choose it. The casting player chooses as well?
Yeah.
That seems good.
I agree. Pretty cool.
And it's that seems very good. You could just go around, like you take away a magic item, like some very important magic items from those big nasty dragons, and you can defang them. You can make them much more easier to wound. Magic items are a linchpin in the game, and I suspect the condition here that's very difficult, of course, is the 12-inch range, right? So getting yourself in position in a safe way that you could try and get this off, and then ideally, there's no magic res. But I mean, this I don't know. This feels very, very good.
The casting value is really high, though. But yeah, you're right. Super fun.
Good eye.
Yeah.
Casting value is super high. Yep.
Super high. But in the right situation, you want to get rid of that perfect magic item that they have and smash them. I think that works really, really well. Right, let's start looking at some units. Right now, we're into units. And the first thing that we want to look at are the High Elf Lords. Toughness 3 because they're elves, and this is obviously going to be something common across. And another good marker as we look through all of the high elf roster compared to many other rosters is really high initiative, really high weapon and ballistic skill, but and also fast. Let me just be clear: high movement, high weapon skill, high ballistic skill. Not necessarily high strength or toughness. Wounds will be about the same. Initiative will be really high. Attacks will be about the same, and leadership will be really high. So really, they aren't a physical, but everything else skill based is super, super high. And then that's going to be common through most of the high elf roster. That's fair to say.
Yeah. They're not like overwhelmingly statted, but yeah, they're very quick and they're very skilled. I think that's a great way to put it. This prince though, 130 points feels pretty nice for that stat line. Not gonna lie, toughness 3 is a bummer, but like we were talking about that dragon prince benefit to get him up to weapon skill 8.
Yep.
That's pretty wild.
Then impetuous weapon skill 8. Let's go.
I mean, who cares? Your weapon skill 8.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
who's gonna F with you?
Yeah, who's going to even hit you? It's true. So obviously, being the High Elf Lord in the roster, you have the opportunity to gear them up as high as you can gear them, right? You can have a bunch of different armor, including up to full plate. You can give them a bow if you'd like to go that route. Obviously, you can give them pretty much every type of weapon, and you can spend 100 points on magic items and 50 points of noble deeds. They also have Elithamar weapons, Strike First, which is another special rule, and Valor of the Ages. So Strike First means they're going to be striking at initiative 10 when in the first round of combat, which is very, very fast.
It's bueno.
Bueno. Yeah, it's very good. So, like, obviously, I think, you know, when Val, is this a fair thing to say? When you're trying to build like a combat character, really got to think about its only unit role is in that it kills stuff or defeats units, right? Or that's this kind of idea. Like you've got the king for dwarves. Its job is to fight monsters and accept challenges and do really well. And then there are other examples of some characters that are in front lines. A good example would be maybe like a tyrant in ogres, you know, that's inside of a block. And then the Doom Ball. Doom Ball is also really good inside its block as well.
Yes.
Is really, really good. But obviously with this, when you're doing your own Build-A-Bear, you just got to be like, cool, like, where do I want to fit it? Where do I want to put it? And then obviously the obvious answer in the old world currently is it may be mounted. And then you go to page 160 and then you go look at all the mounts that are available. And it descends pretty quickly. So first up, we've got the Griffin. You can mount them on. Which is toughness +2, which obviously helps with that toughness issue. Is 3 additional wounds. It's going to give you 6 wounds. And then the Griffin itself, this is for an additional 130 points. It's going to double the cost of it. But you're going to have Fly 9. You're going to have Swift Stride. You're going to cause Terror. You're going to have D3 Stomp attacks at Strength 5. You have 4 attacks more at Strength 5. So for like a pretty cheap cost, 260 points, you can, I mean, we haven't given any other items to the guy, so it's been more around 300 points. You can go all in, right? And or not all in, but you can have something that's pretty fighty if you want it to be, but it won't be in a unit. It'll just be flying around on its own.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Wyvern tier of mount, and it's I don't know, I think it's quite good for 130 points. Even with the option of, well, we'll run into their very good dragons. I guess probably the best dragons are available, the Star Dragon. But yeah, I don't think this Griffin should be overlooked for the package of stuff that you get for that 130 points.
No, I think it's a really good package. But then what you're asking yourself is, okay, well, I spent 130 points. Should I spend more points? And then you get to the dragons. So for an additional 50 points, you get the Sun Dragon, which is going to give you 4 wounds. It's going to be toughness +2, so you're going to be toughness 5. And then you've got the Moon Dragon, which is even more expensive, which is toughness +2 with an additional 5 wounds. And then you can get the Star Dragon for 290 points, which is going to give you toughness +3, so it's going to be toughness 6. It's going to give you an additional 6 wounds for 9 wounds. It's going to have 6 attacks at strength 7. And then you can see why people naturally just immediately gravitate towards a prince on a Star Dragon, because it makes you really tough. It gives you an amazing amount of wounds. Obviously, then you can stack items and armor on top of it. It's Fly 10, so it's even faster than the Griffin for additional points. It's got D6 stomp attacks, but the Sun Dragon is impetuous. But the Moon Dragon and the Star Dragon are not impetuous. So that's cool. And they all cause terror and they all swift stride. They also have got full plate armor. as well on the dragon, which is cute and nice. So, I mean, do we really need to say these are good, or?
We could just say it. They're good. And obviously, you've probably heard of dragons being good. We just blew everyone's minds. They're very good. And if you like dragons, I think the Star Dragon, arguably best dragon available, especially with the things you can stack on top of them.
Weapon skill 7 is insane.
Weapon skill 7. So that's like as good as most combat lords in the game. It's just, I mean, there's not much more to say. Strength 7, also very good. So that means when he's fighting other dragons, he's wounding well. 6 attacks, not to be understated. That's a lot of attacks, plus your stomps. This guy is a true behemoth in the game. Oddly, a 60 by 100 millimeter base size, and these guys come with a pre-sculpted base that is not 60 millimeters wide, that I recall. What an interesting thing. I gotta go measure the base, because I'm pretty sure they're just 50 wide. But anyway.
Yeah. And I mean, ultimately, like, the reasons that he's good, they fly really fast. They're super tough to deal with. They do loads of damage. They cause terror. What's up, bud?
Oh, nothing. Everyone's going to be calling me dumb. Hopefully they didn't already make the comment. You glue the thing onto the base. My bad. I was thinking that it was like everything was, because they're jumping off that cliff. It's like a flying stand. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
You weren't interrupting. That's okay. So anyway, that's the Lord. I think is a kind of fair shout to talk about the Lord. You can put him in loads of other places, but why wouldn't you, in the role of a combat character, why wouldn't you make them a combat character?
And then put them on a combat monster that is an absolute so good.
Yeah.
And then based on all of those items we just talked about, you're going to have a 5-up regen, you're going to have a 5-up ward, you're probably going to be 2-up. That is a crazy package.
It's a crazy package. Then obviously playing the old world, so you have to have a level 4 wizard. And the one you can have is a high elf mage. Archmage, battle magic, elementalism, high magic, and illusion are all available to you.
Yes.
Very cool. They can be mounted. They can take an elven honor, and they can also be mounted on a dragon. I'm pretty certain to say that. They can be mounted on a dragon as well. And then you can have 100-point magic items, or you can have a lower version that's level 2 and can take less points. And they've got Elven reflexes, Elithimar weapons. Lilith's blessing is the important part. And then the Laura Safri and the Valerie of Ages. So they're going to be able to reroll a single casting roll, which compared to other level 4 wizards, is pretty nice.
And that's not even just the level 4s.
Yeah,
that's all of them.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool. Oh no, hold on. Archmage level 3, level 1. Oh yeah, no. So sorry about that. Yeah, so yeah, everyone gets Lilith's blessing. So that gives you 2 whacks at a good roll. So that's pretty good, because to dispel, you still got to roll high, even if you have better wizard level than me. The other thing to point out, something I've only noticed, been pointed out to me recently, especially archmages and mages that can take the dragon mount. Usually they are a little bit lower in toughness. So the archmage is toughness 3 as opposed to the toughness 4 of the prince. And that means that your very fancy dragon only gets you to toughness 5, not 6. So that's something to be aware of. It still can be a 5-up very easily.
Prince is only toughness 3 though, right? Yeah.
Yes, but hold on. Oh, maybe I'm thinking of the Wars of Chaos.
You are.
My mistake. Yeah, because it only gives plus 2. Okay. So I'm full of poop. Let's continue.
But if you're playing High Elves, you need to run a level. Well, if you're playing Old World, you need to run a level 4 wizard. You've got a rerollable casting once per turn, which is amazing. So I love that, and I think that's very cool, very effective. And then you've got a good choice of spells as well. Output from battle magic, control from illusion. You've got a good series. Val's favorite, high magic. So you got like a bunch of some good spells there. Then we've got dragon mages. So these are toughness 5 because they are on a sun dragon already for 275 points. They got hand weapon and only light armor. And the sun dragon counts as having full plate armor though, which is cool. But they are a level 1 wizard and they know battle magic or elementalism, and they can be a level 2 wizard for 30 points and can take up to 50 points of magic items. And they've got every special rule. Blessings of Assyrian, Close Order, Dragon Armor, Elven Reflexes. They fly 10. They are impetuous. They've got Lithimar weapons, large target, Lilith's Blessing, Laura Safri, Stomp attacks, D6, Destroy Terror, Fire of Ages. Everything. So you get yourself a Dragon Mage. How do you feel about the Dragon Mage?
You probably just want a mage on a dragon. I was hoping that having the special fire guy on the Sun Dragon would get rid of impetuous, because that's like one of the downsides of the Sun Dragon. But yeah, I'm not sure I see the upside of this character. Does he get anything special?
I think the upside, I guess you could just take 3 and just send them.
I mean, yeah, technically, I think. You can take 2 and 2,000 points.
What is it? Is there a restriction on it?
1. Yeah, 0 to 1.
0 to 1.
1,000.
Okay. Well, okay.
275, and then a dragon, and then a. So we can move on while I ponder this and then get it wrong. So let's move on.
But yeah, you were just. This is a dragon-based thing. You can take a better dragon. Oh, I can't wait to stop saying the word dragon. Right.
180. So a sun dragon on its own is 180. Right. Right, and then this is all I want to know. This is all I want to know. And then a level 1 mage is 80. So you're saving 10 points, right?
10 points, worth it.
No, it's 5 more points.
Oh,
I'm not sure why you would do this. Handmaiden of the Everqueen, though.
Oh yeah, let's go.
So remember, this is the character that unlocks Sisters of Averlorn. So
65 points.
So for 65 points, you get to take Sisters of Averlorn as core.
Worth it.
If she's also your general, that would, I think, be the other important thing. So that does make things. So that does mean that you wouldn't be able to have a higher character. I think I'm not mistaken there. Let me just double check that because that's very important. Let's just see here. If your general is a handmaiden of the Everqueen, you can take 1 big unit of Sisters of Averlorn as core. So that is a big condition because that means that leadership 8 would have to be your highest leadership, and so that would mean that you wouldn't be able to have the big dragon build. That's something. So the handmaiden of the Everqueen. I'm panicking, trying to find. There we go. Handmaidens of the Everqueen. So they are movement 5, weapon skill 6, ballistic skill 7, strength 4, toughness 3, 2 wounds each, initiative 6, 2 attacks, leadership 8, 65 points as we said. They come with hand weapon, handmaiden spear, bow of Averlorn, and light armor. They can upgrade to heavy armor. They can take up to 50 points of magic items. One of them can take the horn of Isha, which, single use, during the command phase of their turn, this character may attempt to use the Horn of Isha by making a leadership test. If this test is passed until your next start of turn subphase, this character and any unit they have joined get a +1 modifier to both their rolls to hit and their rolls to wound. That's not too bad.
Wow.
And that's 25 points.
That's pretty good.
I think I like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, Rob, any doubts on that one?
No, obviously that's an amazing modifier because normally modifiers in the old world, +1 to weapon skill, +1 to strength and toughness are actually not as good as +2 hit and +2 wound, because those are much larger stat buffs. That might be like effectively +3 strength is what that might really be in kind of like stat terms. So +1 to wound is nutty, absolutely nutty. That's a chocolate bar full of nuts.
That's a big mouthful of nuts. And special rules: arrows of Isha, evasive, ignores cover, immune to psych. That immune to psych is a bit of a bummer because you can't flee. Ithilmar armor, Ithilmar weapons, strike first. Not a bad package for 65 points. I'm not gonna lie. And then one of them is gonna have I guess one of them would be up to what 70, 90 points. You throw the maybe the Reaver Bow on there, maybe. I'm not even sure if you would. And you got yourself a little stew cooking with a big old blob of dope sisters.
It's very cool. It's very cool. She's very effective, and she like that Horn of Isha ability is just absolutely nutty. I think very cool. What a single use though, so I guess it's okay. Anyway, here are all the character mounts you could take. And a Prince or Noble could be on Elven Seed, Bard and Elven Seed, Terranot Chariot, Griffin, Moondragon, Star Dragon, Great Eagle, and then the Archmage or Mage can be on Elven Seed, Bard and Elven Seed, Moondragon, Star Dragon, and Great Eagle. And then alternatively, a Prince Noble Archmage and you could basically have, there's a way to get a Lion Chariot, a Lothern Skycutter, a Sun Dragon, or a Flamespire Phoenix, or a Frostheart Phoenix as mounts as well, which will cover it a bit. But obviously, like, a horse is really a horse in the old world. So you put them in a horse unit if you're going to do that. The real question is, are you going to? All right, so now we're jumping into core. So we're going to jump into core and deal with the Ulthuan militia. The Ulthuan militia. So you can either basically have Elven spearmen or Elven archers out of the militia. So as we've talked previously, pretty high initiative at initiative 4 and good weapon skill at weapon skill 4 or ballistic skill 4 for either one of the two. Their strength and toughness is low. It's 3s and it's 9 points for the spearmen and 10 points for the archers. A ton of different upgrades here available to you. They start out with the archers have got no armor and longbows, and the spearmen have got light armor and shields. So it's going to give them a 5-up armor save. Full commands, and you could give them the shield wall special rule, which I think is actually quite fun when you take into account martial prowess and elven reflexes. So you can maybe you could be hitting at like initiative 5 without even charging, which is kind of fun. But the rubbish.
Yeah, you ran out of steam there. I think these are do not touch with a 10-foot spear. Hey-oh! Yeah, which is kind of crazy when you consider how many, like we think of the humble Empire infantrymen at 7 points without anything aside from regimental unit. At least here you get Elven reflexes, martial prowess, Valor of the Ages on the spearmen. Right these days, just not enough. You can also get them veteran. I think this is and that's interesting. They can have a magic standard up to 50 points, but the fancy ones we were looking at required more than that. I guess you could do the BSB plus the War Banner to try and give them that combat res. But yeah, I think spearmen are a on-the-shelf choice for now, and Elven archers maybe.
I think one of the things that's interesting about at least like the infantry for high elves is those high initial initiative and also with Elven reflexes, you do maybe get to swing before some things out there, like which kind of overrides the problem that you do have with infantry in that normally they're charged first, which means the opponent is striking first, which means you're not getting any strikes back. So actually, like, there's kind of like a use case there, I think. Also, worth noting as well, the spearmen are a regimental unit and the archers are a detachment. So if they do something to improve exactly. They do something to improve infantry, then it's definitely worth a look at almost all the Elven infantry, I think. Okay.
It's well worth a look at all infantry. One thing just to maybe Debbie Downer you a bit, they would get to what, initiative 6? If they had spears and they have Elven reflexes. Yeah. Because that gives them a +1. So, I mean, that would mean that a cav unit coming at them on the charge would have to start with a base initiative of 3. And I suspect there's lots of stuff out there that's going to be charging. Like it's not going to help them as much as you'd hope. It's just not enough juice.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They're just close, is what I'm saying. They're close.
Yes, it's close. Yeah. Okay. I will accept that, sir.
They're close. That's what I was trying to say. Then Lothern. Go on.
I just wanted to shout out something in chat that was mentioned because I was talking about how the Handmaiden as general precludes you from taking one of the big dragon builds.
Yes.
It was pointed out that you can still do the prince. The noble as a BSB because the BSB cannot be your general. So that might be a way to still get a big mean dragon in.
And what is it? And what is it that stops you from
just the I keep mixing them up, but the prince is the top choice, leadership 10, and the handmaiden is leadership 8. So she can't be the general if because she's a lower leadership than the prince. If there was a prince in the army,
because the rules say that you've got to have the highest leadership unit has to be the general. Yeah, perfect.
That's correct. Yes, highest leadership character. And then, however, the noble can be a BSB, and a BSB cannot also be your general. So that's a way to get around that.
Yeah. Okay, right. Next up unit, again, from our core is Lothern Seaguard. Seaguard. So weapon skill and ballistic skill 4s. We're loving that. They're 11 points, and you get spears, war bows, and light armor. So you get everything just thrust into one unit, which is quite nice. And I think I would go to town for these. You can take shields as well for additional points. That's going to be 12 points. A full command. You can also have Valor of the Ages be veteran instead, and you can take a magic stand up to 50 points, and you get close order, elven reflexes, martial prowess, naval discipline, and Valor of the Ages. And naval discipline special rule says a unit of Lothern Seaguard may use a special rule when it makes a standard shoot reaction. A unit that does not make a standard shoot reaction, regardless of how close the charging unit is, and once the shooting unit has been resolved, the charged unit may make a free redress the ranks maneuver, after which it will hold and await the charging unit. Units that are fleeing, that are already engaged in combat with charge, or that have been joined by a character that does not have this special rule, cannot use this special rule. It's a pretty cool ability. So, and the reason I'll go to town for this is because they do both jobs. The archers, when they get hit, will die. The spearmen are ineffective unless they can they're ineffective. So this gives you the opportunity to at least be involved in the game until you're eventually charged by a dragon.
And it gives you the chance to do some damage when you're being charged, because you can stand and shoot, which is pretty sweet. The unit has thrusting spears. Okay, cool. I'm just looking at this. I'm just trying to see, so versus just a regular archer who you pay 1 point to get light armor on. That's 11 points for a regular archer with light armor. So basically, you're trading 12 inches of range, right? Because I guess, or a little bit less than that, 6 inches of range. Because you go to war bows, you're a little bit lower to get a full package. I feel like if you're like, I need spears or I need archers, I don't know why you wouldn't just go with Seaguard. They feel good to me, and they're cool. Maybe it's just because I want them to be cool, because I love Lothern Seaguard. I remember the original models.
I think weapon skill, ballistic skill is good. Move. Ultimately, you're just adding some shooting in, which I think is nice as well. I like these, 5 of armor save, whatever. That's not too bad. I guess they're expensive, but I think they're good. I think being able to be a hybrid unit is better than not at all. Right, let's go look at not any of these units. We need to go look at none of these are still our core units. Sir, we're looking at Illyrian Reavers. So we're on to cavalry.
There's a light cav on a 30 by 60. Unit size 5+. They're on the Elven steed, so very quick 9-inch move for Elven steeds.
Super
weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength and toughness 3, of course. Initiative 4, attack 1 attack, leadership 8. So pretty standard elf stat line there. They come with hand weapons, cavalry spears, and light armor. So that means that if you want them to be shooty, you've got to pay 2 points to take short bows. Although you can drop the cavalry spear and replace it with a short bow for 1 point per model, bringing you up to 17 points. You got your standard full command available to you, 25 points magic items. They can also have scouts, 2 points per model, pretty good. Skirmishers at 1 point per model. Surprised they're not base skirmishers. And a magic standard, elven reflexes, fast cav, open order, swift stride, valor of the ages. Overall, for 17 points, or I should say 18 points if you have the spear and the short bow, not bad.
Yeah, I think the fact that you can have a skirmishing unit of these with a bow, obviously that gives them 360 line of sight. They're super, super, super fast. You could do lots with them. They're at least an engaging and vibesy based unit. When you finally do, finally get there, I think sadly it's not actually that much damage. Wait,
this is like sort of a piece, that you would have out there. It's going to be for 5 of them, you're under 100 points, right? You're at 80 points, maybe a little bit more. So yeah, I mean, for like a go out there and be annoying unit. I mean, if you give them scouts, that does jack them up even more. I don't know. It's interesting. They're sort of like your road wardens for Empire. If you have a use case for them, they could be handy. Maybe not quite as important as they once were. Although again, if you are not sold on bricks of infantry and you don't want to take, those other units, you just want something to go out there and be annoying. This does take up core points and could be very annoying.
Yeah, they can be very annoying. I agree. All right, so let's keep. So then Silverhelms are also in core, I think, pretty certain. So Silverhelms are also in core. So these, as opposed to being like a light cavalry, these are a heavy cavalry. Still the same strength and toughness, still weapon skill 4 with an attack each, leadership 8, and they're 23 points each. And we have talked about how heavy cavalry should definitely have an extra wound because these guys can just get ruined. But they've got barding, obviously, so heavy armor and barding on the Silverhelm. So I think they can get a 3-up save is where we can take them to, because we can have shields as well, which is pretty nice. Full command, and they got close order Elven reflexes, first charge, Elithimar barding, swift stride, and they're slightly slower. They move 8, but they do have swift stride as well. And you can just absolutely just send these all the way in and go crush some of your own dreams actually on the charge. Just to be clear. Yeah, you can lose a couple to woods. I'm assuming you're going to lose most of them, though, to Pillar of Fire.
Yes, quite likely. I think this is one of those things where, again, if you have to take core and you're not doing the Sister of Avalon thing, you got to fill it. Again, can you get a cheap-ish unit that might be useful? Do they have the opportunity? No, they don't have the chance to get drilled. They remind me a lot of like Empire Knights, in the sense that they're very basic, very, very boring, very basic, like cavalry unit. They don't have countercharge. But again, you got to spend the points, right? So a min unit of these guys, much like the Illyrian Reaver friends, might be useful to just send up in front of the army and mess things up for people.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I like the concept of building a cav bus. If you don't know what that means, a cav bus, it's just a bunch of dudes in a cavalry unit, like they're on a bus, but they're on a horse. So it's disrespectful to horses, actually. But is it good? Scott, great question. It'll look good.
I mean, people do poo-poo on these models too, because they are the large-handed version. They could use a little bit of a spruce up. I don't know. I would say that this is a utility piece because it's core. Otherwise, probably wouldn't look at it. But if it's like right now, twist my arm, take this, or a huge brick of spearmen, or probably even Seaguard, I'm probably gonna just take a few min units of these guys and some Illyrian Reavers to pad out my core. That's where I'm at.
That's really that makes a lot of sense. Is there any core units I've missed? I don't think so.
We could go right to Sisters of Avalor now, because again, that is the only other option. And I'm kind of curious because I actually don't know much about Sisters of Avalor. I would love to go have a look at them.
Let me go find them. It's going to take me a moment as we go through. Lothar and Skycutters, Tyrannot Chariots, Dragon Princes, because they're not in any order that makes any sense, obviously. Sisters of Avalon. So they're only 15 points a model, so only 4 points more than Lothar and Seaguard. They are ballistic skill 5. Ballistic skill 5, and they are initiative 5 as well, if that's important. But they do have that bow of Avalon and light armor, and then they have the ambushers and stubborn special rule. If you want to, you can upgrade them. If not, they have the arrows of Isha. They've got evasive. They've got ignores cover. They've got immune to psychology. They've got Elithimar armor, Elithimar weapons, open order skirmishers, and first strike. So I think what we're talking about are 30-inch bows with AP1 armor bane 1 that are strength. I feel like they're strength 3. They might be strength 4. Strength 3, but importantly, it's the AP. It's the armor bane 1. I think they're getting, and they're hitting on their ballistic skill 5s.
So they're actually, they'd be more than that because they're arrows of Isha, right?
Yeah.
So arrows of Isha apply on that. So they're AP -1, armor bane 2 bows with magical attacks, volley fire, 30-inch range, and then their strength is going to be strength user.
So strength 3.
Yeah, and then but what's interesting about that is if there's any way to buff their strength, like they're just their base profile strength, you buff the strength of their arrows, which is fun. I mean, probably just feels like a better unit. Giving them stubborn, maybe not a bad idea in this situation because they can't run away, right? So that's something. And then you also have that handmaiden who can give them the +1 to hit and wound once a turn.
Yeah, I like immune psychology as well. That's actually dope. Yeah, +1 to hit, +1 to wound is good. I mean, it's that 30-inch range, and they're also, I would say, pretty cheap at 15 points. Like,
feels good.
Unit 10, 150 points, shooting 10 shots that are probably going to hit at range. 150 points is cheap for a unit of 10, I'd say. Like, it's nice. It's good. Like, they're kind of what you almost just want shooting units to be. And then, yeah, they're good. They're just really, really good.
The other thing that you could look at is that, 150... What are we looking at? Unit of 30 plus, and you've maxed out your core. If you just want to do things that way.
And 45 means that they're going to get like they're not necessarily bad for taking additional like ranks of them, right? Like that's a bonus.
Yeah, if you didn't want to have them as because you're right. Like a unit of skirmishers, because they block their own line of sight, might get a little unwieldy that big. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you might, if in open order, they're still able to shoot and do stuff. I can see why people would be like, yeah, screw it. I'm just gonna max out these fine ladies. They look cool as hell too. I like these ones a lot.
They're super good.
They're badasses.
They're super good. All right, okay. So if let's go and have a let's start looking at some of the other units which are famous in obviously the lore, and take up some mental some of the mental zeitgeist of high elves, but necessarily don't see a lot of play. Right, White Lions of Tracer, our first like elite infantry unit. They're regular infantry, but you would consider them to be, I think, elite units. They've got those Tracian great blades, which makes them different to, I guess, the other units. They've only got 1 attack each, though. They are weapon skill 5, which is cool, and they are strength 4 and toughness 3 with only a wound each, and they're 14 points. Okay, so the weapon isn't here. I'm gonna have to go click it. Hold on, page 187, ladies and gentlemen.
187.
Go on, you tell me.
Oh, I didn't get far enough. Okay,
we're gonna find out.
Great Blade is strength +2, AP -3, requires 2 hands and strike last.
Yes. Okay, so they're striking last. They've only got heavy armor. But they've got Elven reflexes. They've got the King's Guard, which is a special rule where any model in this unit, White Lions, that's been joined by your army's general can issue and accept challenges in the same manner as a character. Should your general leave the unit for any reason, a unit loses this ability. And then also the Tracian Warriors, a unit with a special rule, may only be joined by your army's general by a character with a Tracian Hunter special rule. They initiative 5. I mean, on the charge, they'd be initiative 9. If you think about that. Well, not initiative 9, sorry. They got strike last, so they'd be initiative 5. No, 5.
They'd be initiative 4 + 1, 5. Yep.
5. They'd be initiative 5 with great weapons, which, as Val said, is pretty tasty. But I think it's the low volume of attacks where Games Workshop and the rules writers haven't really understood the math, is that you can put many other units into this with many more attacks. And then when you've got a unit that's 6 or 7 wide, even 7 attacks, you're going to miss some, you're not going to save some, you're not going to wound with some, they're going to save some, and then all of a sudden your combat res is pretty low. For a combat unit, right? Generating combat res. You actually probably get more combat res from this unit by putting a BSB in there with a standard that gives combat res and taking another standard with combat res than you'll ever get from the output of the unit to get combat res.
That's probably not an unfair statement.
Which,
yeah.
And then you say to yourself, because that's his purpose, right? A combat unit's purpose is to generate combat res in some way, right? Mm-hmm. You would argue, and the White Lions just don't do it. So yeah, it's very sad. I'd like you to know, like,
and they're quite squishy. So
they give up combat res.
Yeah.
So Swordmasters are our next one. So these are weapon skill 6, which is incredible. Still only 1 attack each. They're also initiative 6 as well, with
Spicy.
elven reflexes. So let's go. Regular infantry again with heavy armor. You can't upgrade them to have any other better armor. You got drilled, magic standard, and you can take some stuff. They've got magic res 1. They've got cleaving blow, close order, deflect shots, and elven reflexes. So cleaving blow, if a model with a special rule rolls a natural 6 or making a roll to wound for an attack made in combat, struck by cleaving blow, enemy models whose troop type is regular infantry, heavy infantry, or regular cavalry or heavy cavalry, mainly the 4 units you don't find in the game, or war beasts, are not permitted an armor or regeneration save against cleaving blow. However, ward saves can be made. Then they've got deflect shots. So model special rolls a 6 ward save against any wounds suffered that are caused by non-magical shooting attacks. And then Warriors of the White Tower, a unit with the special rule may only be joined by a High Elf Mage or by a character with either the Warden Safri or Lord Master of Elven special rule. And their special weapon, the Sword of Hoeth, is 2-handed, I think. I don't know if you've got it. It's on page 187 as well.
I'm hustling there again. Sword of Hoeth, combat. Strength +2, AP -2, magical attacks. Yes, indeed. Requires 2 hands. But we knew that. They just
but it doesn't have strike last. Doesn't have strike.
Does not have strike last. No. So it's a little bit. Yeah.
So on the charge, these guys would be like initiative 9, or even if you charge them, they initiative 7. But
yes.
Would it be fair to say the same thing I said about the White Lions is true here? Even though they might get to swing on the turn in which they're charged, the limited amount of attacks that they will return means that probably they're going to lose based on combat res from the thing that's charging them.
Yes, unless you're very wide and very deep and very, very big. And then even then, like a lot of your army is now invested in that unit. To try and do that. So like maybe again, but what it all comes back to me is just the squishiness, right? Because there's no real way to defend these guys in combat. You got heavy armor, you got no shields, they're toughness 3. So yeah, anything survives to swing back on these guys, and they're gonna die in handfuls, and that's a big problem. It used to be that, it used to be, but I think one of the things that they could have done with these guys is make it so that they just, are the hope is that they're annihilating whatever they're fighting with before they get a chance to swing. There's just a lot of stuff that's not going to die to them, and then they're going to eat it. So they're just in a tough spot because their output does not outweigh their squishiness, which is where these guys are right now.
Absolutely. And then we've got a good way to think about it is if you're getting into the old world and you're excited about high elves, is that 3 fanatics will do more damage than these guys ever will. That's a good way to think about it. And they cost 75 points. Okay. And I mean,
plus the unit of 30 goblins, you got to bring 2. I mean, it's not just 75
that's true.
points.
That's true.
But that unit of goblins, though, probably has a good chance. Believe it or not, because they may be tuned up a little bit better with static res, all that stuff. They have war bands, so they probably have better leadership anyway. Phoenix Guard?
Phoenix, after you. I feel like I've been a Debbie Downer, so I'd like you to at least talk about one for a moment.
No, that's why I keep tricking you into talking, so that way I can sound like I'm positive, because I'm not saying anything, because I would be saying all the same things. Phoenix Guard are 16 points a model, so we're pretty spendy here. I think this is the most expensive of the 3. Yes. So 16 points of model. Why is that? We've got a weapon skill of 5. So obviously the rest of the stat line is pretty normal, except for a leadership of 9. So that's pretty cool. They come with hand weapons, ceremonial halberds, and full plate armor. Okay. Any unit, because I was complaining about squishiness, so let's see what we got here. Any unit may upgrade 1 model. So basically, you got your command options. Magic standard worth up to 100 points.
Let's go.
So just
magic
to point out
3.
that magic, but actually the D3 combat res banner could be taken by this unit. And folks out there, magic banners that you take on the unit instead of a BSB, why that's really cool is that it can't be killed. So like the standard bearer is the second to last thing to be removed from the unit. So that means that they get to hold on to it. Putting it on a BSB means the BSB could get singled out and killed, right? So that's interesting. A Keeper of the Flame may purchase magic items up to a total of 25 points. Cool. So that's the champion, can take some magic items. They come with Blessings of Assurin, Close order, Elven reflexes, fear, martial prowess, veteran, great, witness to death's destiny. And then witness to destiny is this unit has a 6+ ward save against any wounds suffered that were caused by a non-magical enemy attack.
Do you know how Phoenix Guard become Phoenix Guard? They witness their own death, and then they fight until like that death happens. And I think the Anointed of Assyrian like step into flame, and I'm a bit like, I feel like these guys would be more hardy. Like these guys are like literally conscious of the future, but they are also anyway, whatever. Well, yeah, what do you think? Pretty great.
I mean, the beginnings of greatness are here for sure, I would say. First of all, I think they're really cool. These were, pardon me, one of the more insufferable units of the past. And I think in general, High Elves, I feel like are getting that post really good edition unfair deal. So Witness to Destiny there, that 6+ ward save against non-magical attacks, I believe used to be a 4+, if I'm not mistaken. These guys, so like, yeah, they are still very squishy. So we are getting to a place where we have full plate. So at least we have a 4+ save, but we don't have a shield or the ability to take a shield. A halberd is usually two-handed. And then in this case, we should probably say what their fancy halberd does. It does. A model wielding a ceremonial halberd cannot make a supporting attack during a turn in which it charged. Oh, cool. So that means that the ceremonial halberd has strength +1, AP -1, armor bane 1, fight an extra rank, magical attacks, requires 2 hands.
Mm-hmm.
So the fight an extra rank with a halberd is neat, I guess.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely.
You know, again, at 16 points or 15 points a model, like that's a very, very expensive large unit.
I mean, just take 20, 300 points, just absolutely sink magic standard. Now we're at nearly like 400 points. Full command, now we're at 400 points. And then just hope that there aren't anyone that can kill him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably, you're probably fine on some hope there. Or, you know, play with people who only bring bricks of infantry. That also works.
Yeah, if I'm playing you and you're bringing all your Empire dudes, we're going to have a great time. Well, I'm going to have a great time because I'm going to swing before you.
Yes, true. And then we're back to the old times. Wonderful. Hey,
what's up,
Rob?
Yeah,
Shadow Warriors. Well, I have literally no idea what these guys do. Please inform me.
They are a missile unit that just aren't the Sisters of Avalon, right? So same strength and toughness, but their ballistic skill is 5, not 6. Their 14 points are the same amount of points, but they are equipped with a longbow and light armor as opposed to a bow of Avalon. But they do have the Warriors of Nagariath, which is where Elithanar is from, the Shadow Elf realm. A unit with this special rule may only be joined by a character with a Shadow Stalker Elven honor. And then they've got Elven reflexes, evasive, fire and flee. Elithanar weapons move through cover, scouts, skirmishers, veteran, and the Warriors. And you can have ambushes, chariot runners, and feigned flight. But like, there's just the TLDR is they're the same point. They're from a different section of the book, so from special. But you've got the longbow versus the bow of Avalon. Which I'm not really sure. You also don't get the special. You don't get the special arrows either. So they're just generally their kit isn't as good. They also have a lower ballistic skill.
I think yes, the lower ballistic skill is something. I think you always get the arrows of Isha. Any bow, longbow, shortbow, warbow,
yeah,
or
okay.
bow
So they do have the arrows. So they've got AP1 and armor bane. So I guess that helps a little bit with the longbow. That makes them a little bit better, but they hit worse, basically.
They hit worse. I will point out too, they come with scouts for 14 points a model. They have evasive, fire and flee. These guys just, I don't know, they seem fun, but you're right. I think they're just sort of overshadowed. They can have feign flight as well, which is
overshadow warrior. No,
overshadow warrior. No. But yeah, I mean, overall, not an offensively bad unit.
Yes. No, I think they're fine. I think like obviously they're in a position where they're battling against other units as well. And also is the volume of ballistic skill fire that you're going to get. So like when they're 14 points a model and I take it 10, so for 140 points, am I really going to like what sort of like output am I getting off that unit of 10? Like how many turns do I need them to be shooting at other stuff to even get 140 points back in a kind of shooting? Am I building a gun line? Are they helping me with that gun line? Those are some good questions. So I think that they've got some opportunity, but they're not cheap enough that they're just something you can plop in front of the enemy or just throw away. They're still pretty expensive, right? At 14 points each.
Yeah, they're pretty expensive, but they do. But like I said, but for that 14 points, you do get the scouts built in. So that's
great.
Something.
That's great.
Like I think these are. I think when I look at these guys, compare them to say Empire Archers, who I think once you got them all tuned up, like have like with scouts and stuff, probably are close to 14 points. I don't even calculate it because I don't care, but they're core, so I don't care. Whereas these guys are competing against other stuff that you don't have to take, right? So, but I think this is it's not a unit you'd be mad about. You just would probably rather have something else.
Well, talking about units, do you get Dragon Princes, sir? Good luck.
Oh, all right. I think it's fine. So we got Dragon Princes, right? Yeah. So they're weapon skill 5. They're on Barded Elven Steed. They have a strength and toughness of 3, obviously. Initiative 5. 2 attacks each base, sir.
Let's go.
37 points per model. So Rob is going to get into a coughing fit from laughing. But I would say that this is where we might consider a second wound on the guys who are like over, like if we divide that in half, it's still an expensive model, right?
Yeah.
But what do you get for that, Rob? Because you must be getting some good stuff. So Dragon Princes come with hand weapons, lances, full plate armor, and shields. And then, of course, the horse has barding. So these guys are 2 up base. Pretty good there to start with. They can take full command. They can have a magic banner worth up to 50. They can have, and then their champ can bring something special too. They come with close order, counter charge, dragon armor, drilled, nice, elven reflexes, first charge, impetuous, Ithalmar barding, Ithalmar weapons, Sons of Calidor, Swiss Stride, Valor of the Ages. Sons of Calidor is a unit with a special rule, may only be joined by your army's general or by a character with the blood of Calidor, Elven honor. So yeah, you have to build a special prince if you want. I mean, these guys are the elite heavy cavalry, pointed incredibly aggressively. I will say that, like, similar to units like them, like, for example, Chosen Chaos Warriors. I don't know how expensive those guys get specifically, but they be in that 40 points range. They do get play. They can be used. They're not complete chumps.
No.
They are, however, even with that very beefy 2+ save, it's a lot of danger for them to be in. And of course, impetuous means they can be kited, i.e., you can put a unit and bait them out on a charge, and half of the time they're just going to go charge after that thing. So a little tricksy to use, but I wouldn't say these are complete trash. They're just going to be very hard to use, delicate, and a lot of points for what you get. They got 2 attacks though. Come on, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like, I'm seeing that. I'm like, 2 attacks, strength 5. Let's go. There's something. Like, I'm keen. It's like all the negatives, and there are loads. It's a very fragile unit to attempt to use well, and an incredibly expensive fragile unit. Just even a unit of 5 or 6 is gonna be setting you back nearly 250 points, 250 points. So it's just the fact they are just grossly overcosted. Like, either give them 2 wounds or shave them in half points, and then you can come back and we'll have a long chat about it. That's all it is. What's devastating, absolutely devastating, is watching like a single pillar of fire, which is just a crap piece of plastic in a circle. Right, can just one shot this 200 point unit, and that's what we're really discussing here. Is that, like, the points are wrong. The impetuous bit, I'm like, do you know what? If they got the points in a better place, I wouldn't even be mad about impetuous. Like I would, do you know what I mean? I'd be like, okay, fine, I'll take that. It fits the theme, it's the narrative, and it kind of works. All right, so we've got chariots. We have a Tyrannot chariot, which is just a chariot, and a White Lion chariot, which is just a chariot. They're cool.
What does the White Lion chariot do differently? Anything?
It has the Lion cloak, so it's going to add +1 to its 4-up armor save against shooting, which is pretty good, and stubborn. And its impact hits are. The lion's also better than the horse, obviously, because you get 2 attacks at strength 4 at weapon skill 5, but you're paying 50 points more for that. 50 points more for that. Yes,
that's a bit slower.
And it's also slow. It's movement 8. So chariots are chariots in the old world, and I think that's fair to just say. They do what they do. I think Tyrannot Chariot's pretty good. Move 9, 75 points for it's 5-up armor save. So maybe not. Maybe.
Yeah, 4-up armor save for the Lion Chariot. Also, it's sorry, I don't know if you said this, but the lions have 2 attacks each. So they get 4 attack. Yeah, that ain't bad. It's 4. All these chariots are 4 wounds each. Interesting. I don't know. I want to like the Lion Chariot, but that's probably because it's pulled by lions.
I would take 2 Lion Chariots over a unit of 5 Dragon Princes.
Interesting.
Absolutely. Because that would be 2d6 impact hits, which is more than the Dragon Princes are ever going to do.
You got no AP, though. I guess the impact hits would have AP.
Yeah. And you've got, AP2 on impact hits for chariot, heavy chariot. Exactly, because it's heavy versus a light. And then I don't know. I don't mind. I don't hate the White Lion chariot. Oops, all chariots sounds actually pretty funny. Just constantly doing impact hits as a way to get through stuff. It's kind of fun. 125 points. It's pretty cheap. It's not bad. I'll take it.
Doesn't feel awful. Doesn't feel awful. But you know what? You know what feels really good?
What?
A Lothern Skycutter.
Take me through it. What's good about this bad boy?
For starters, it cuts through the sky, as its name indicates. It's also a toughness 4/4 wound chariot, although only 90 points, so up over that Tyrannot, over its Tyrannot cousin. That's getting you fly 10, which seems pretty good. Although its impact hits are less, D3 +1. It has close order, causes fear, fly, Elven reflexes. If it has Seaguard on its Seaguard crew. It has impact hits like D3 +1, like I said. Swift Stride, Valor of the Ages. The Swift Feather Rock, which pulls it, has 2 attacks, strength 4, and an AP of -2. And then it can also take an Eagle Eye Bolt Thrower, which is a 24-inch range, strength 5, -3, cumbersome, multiple wounds D3. Not Bolt Thrower?
Not Bolt Thrower?
It doesn't have through and through.
It doesn't.
Is it not actually a bolt thrower?
It's an Eagle Eye Bolt Thrower, but it's not a bolt thrower, right?
So it's a single shot, cumbersome, multiple wounds D3. Interesting.
How much is the bolt thrower upgrade?
That's 25 points.
What? Can't I take 3 of these?
Skycutters?
Yeah.
In general, you could take. Let's see here. In rare, you can take. They're not limited. They're not officially limited. So for us, yes, there'd be up to 3 of them. And so it would just be because it's rare, you'd be limited by your rare slot. That's it.
115 points and just start pinging people at 24 inches isn't that far though. Isn't that? I'd want to be further away. I want to be 30 away, but just be like, ping, ping, ping. And then just do some shooting, and then in the turn when it's all go and everyone's charge in and do some impact hits at the same time. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a reason why it's around. I don't know if it's necessarily the bolt thrower itself. Cumbersome. I was worried that cumbersome was the extra movement penalty for moving and shooting, but in fact, it just can't stand and shoot with it. Yeah, that seems reasonable.
That's very reasonable.
Overall, Skycutter looks pretty cool, and like I said, it's something that you can mount interesting characters on as long as you give them the free Seaguard upgrade. So who cares? I think there's a lot of opportunity to make use of these cool little Skycutters, and they're also really neat. Maybe that's divisive. I don't know. I don't know if people generally like them. I think they're cool. And also, like I've mentioned, I find the Lothran Sea Guard in general neat. I think they're cool.
I think they're cool. I think they're definitely cool. You're allowed to say stuff is cool, dude. And they are cool. Just checking to make sure we haven't missed anything. Shadow Warriors, Sisters of Avalon, Illyrian Reavers, Silver Helms, Dragon Princes, Chariots, Skycutters, Griffin, the Dragons of Ulthuan. The Phoenixes, of course, Rob, of course. We should also shout out the fact that we've got a Great Eagle that's only 60 points, which is a perfect little fella for going out and doing some move blocking. That's its role inside of an army. It flies 10 inches, march it up, and immediately just move block an enemy unit, so it can't move too much further forward. Not bad job for a Great Eagle for 60 points. I'll take that.
Maybe not quite as essential as it once was, just because like move blocking and also and like the way charges work now, and the fact that you reform after you kill something, after you overrun after killing something, means that you can't like get units super out of position like you used to. It's still a very handy unit, the Great Eagle, don't get me wrong, but maybe not the auto include it once was.
Exactly. And then we've got the Flamespire Phoenix and the Frost Heart. So this is a monster, obviously, that's strength and toughness 5 with 5 wounds, 170 points. It's got fly 10. And it's got 3 attacks in combat. It's got a bunch of special rules, which we'll look at in a minute. It's also got 2 stomp attacks, not D6 stomp attacks. Is a large target, though, don't worry, so still very shootable. But it's pretty cheap, 170 points, pretty cheap. It's got a special rule called From the Ashes. When a Flamespire Phoenix loses its last wound, I don't know actually what armor save it's got as well. Heavy armor, I should have said. So it's got a 5-up save. When a Flamespire Phoenix loses its last wound, you roll dice on a 1 to 2. The Phoenix crumbles into cold ashes and is removed from play. On 3 to 5, the Phoenix explodes into flame. Every enemy unit in base contact with it suffers D6 strength 3 hits with an AP of 1, flaming attacks. And then on a roll of a 6, the Phoenix and its rider is consumed in flame, and they recover D3 wounds. And then Wake of Fire, this model may perform a Wake of Fire attack against a single enemy unit that's not engaged in combat. To do so, this model must move by flying over the unit it wishes to attack during the remaining move subphase. Once the model movement is complete, the enemy suffers D6 strength 4 hits with an AP of 1. So what we have for 170 points is a weaker, worse Pillar of Fire.
Yeah, but there's other stuff. There's a bird that comes with it.
Yeah,
that's not so bad.
Yeah.
It's a 10. It's got fly 10, so you can probably manage to fly over things. 170 points to bring on its own. The one here is having the character on it. I wonder how it does, because again, like looking at that Juicy Griffin option, maybe using this as a character mount could be useful as well. Mm-hmm. I think it's just the Star Dragon's so good, guys, that like it's hard to look at the other ones. But I feel like there is maybe some action here. And on a rule of 6, just coming back to life. So 20% of the time, this guy's just going to be back. So that's not so bad.
He's back. He's back. Yeah, I like the idea of him back. I like that also when he's a character mount, he can come back as well. I think that's pretty cool. And I think that is at least interesting. I just think 170 points feels a little underwhelming on the stat line, especially 3 attacks. The 3 attacks, I don't feel like he's adding to the combat res. Just give me 4. Maybe, is that crazy? Is that crazy to ask for 4 attacks from a Phoenix? I guess he's flapping a lot. Okay, he's busy.
If you want 4 attacks, you're gonna have to go to the Frostheart Phoenix.
Okay,
but you're paying 205 points.
Yeah.
Frostheart was formerly just one of the most. This guy was a real son of a gun back in the day. Let's see what he does now. He's essential. So he's leadership 8. So he's a bit more of he's a wise Phoenix, and has 1 more attack, 1 more weapon skill. So he's just a little bit better across the line on that. They have the special rules: Blizzard Aura, Close Order, Fear, Fly 9, a little slower, large target, Stomp attacks 2, Swift Stride, Blizzard Aura. While in base contact with this model, enemy models that become subject to the Strike Last special rule.
I like that.
All right. Wicked Claws -2, 205 points. Gets you +3 toughness and +3 wounds. That's interesting. So it gets you to toughness 6, and an extra 3 wounds for 205 points. I don't know. I don't see a lot of love for the Frostheart Phoenix. So I'm going to trust
I like
people.
the Frostheart Phoenix. I think like it's one of the few models in the game that actually brings some like hotness with it. Like I'm like, bro, just charge this in with something. The enemy models strike last. Is it just the enemy models? Okay, so it only really works into like big things, right? But like I do like the idea.
Yeah.
I like the idea of like base to basing a Frostheart, right? Basically next to one of my other monsters. It's like if you charge me, I'm like, okay, cool. Well, now if you're touching it, I think it's good. Like I think yes, as has been pointed out in the chat. Obviously, when you're playing this in the wider game, there is an item from Bretonia, the Horn, which turns off fly, and then it becomes movement 2. So that's obviously pretty rubbish. So that's why Bretonian's obviously pretty decent into some of these flying options that exist.
However, you know what? You could totally just go destroy if you're a high elf. You can just go and destroy. You can go kill it, the Falcon Horn, with the magic spell.
With the magic spell, exactly. They've also got a bolt thrower as well, if I remember correctly. So I'm just making sure we've covered all the units.
Yeah, it's a repeater bolt thrower, 80 points.
It's not too bad.
It gives you it's not great. Don't see it again. Not what it once was. Let's just go 4 only on their crew. So that always hurts the bolt throwers because you got to shoot through things. You've got to you're usually long range, even though you got a pretty good range. So yeah, but a bolt thrower, 80 points. Who cares?
So what do you think in kind of review? And also to everyone who's watched this through, I know the tone's been a little bit down on some of the units.
We've been lifting each other up.
Yeah. So just let us know what you're thinking. Just trying to just be really honest and clear, right? Like there's no point selling you a lame duck, and several of these things are lame ducks. But I think they're really close to greatness. That would be my TLDR. Very close to greatness. Just don't necessarily have the whole thing. What do you reckon?
I mean, as far as power builds are concerned, I mean, any army that has access to this level of quality magic, quality monsters, and even a useful core option, they can be built and piloted very well. But that's the skew that you would be probably playing. Just having a quick look at, I did mention LVO, which wound up being not a massive tournament. It was about the same size as Square-based Open Toronto. They did have some overperforming high elf players for sure in that event. Worth a look. However, what did we see? We saw a double dragon list. We saw a Sisters of Avalorn core list with some dragon princes, by the way, which was kind of cute. And then we saw a friend of the show, Brian Paulin. He showed up. He loves playing his high elves, but again, he was running his dragon. But he brought Seaguard. There's some interesting options there, but he would be an example of probably a pretty crafty player getting probably a lot out of his units. So yeah, very traditional looking list for Mr. Pullen there. That is all to say that I think high elves, despite us being Debbie Downers about a lot of stuff, I think as far as is it a powerful choice? Probably. Like you've got good strong builds, but is there a lot of depth to those builds? Like, can you do things outside of the norm? Maybe not. You kind of get roped into some pretty narrow choices. And a lot of those narrow choices aren't necessarily what, as a high elf player, you're coming to the party for.
They're also not uniquely powerful choices, right? They're like
exactly.
outside of the sisters, like ultimately we're just talking about the strength of dragons versus, and also we're talking about this is a really good example of the weakness of, we're talking about the elite infantry. We should be seeing maybe 2 or 3 attacks being something that comes from the elite infantry, if we're being serious about them trying to do some damage or fighting toe to toe on that tier. Because sometimes it's not about bringing things down. It's not like let's bring those down. It's like, right, let's pump stuff up. And like with the Dragon Princes, like cool, we start to get 2 attacks, but you just need half the points. Like they really have some massive balance issues, which is game wide. This is not a high elf problem. This is a game wide problem. But most of the other armies, they're like, right, goblins, they do a thing. Like we've had an opportunity. This is an elite army where elite armies don't work very well. Basically,
an elite infantry army. Lots of like your favorite choices would come from there, and I think that's where it is. And that's not to say that it's impossible, and in certain situations where you can go have fun on this. We're talking, I think, more from like if you're trying to go best in slot as much as possible, there's limited options for you. And I think most of my complaints that that I rail on about with Old World are core mechanic related. I think that if we had some slight change ups to core mechanics, we might see whole army books open up as far as like fun, exciting choices to pick. So I think the game could turn on a dime. The second GW snaps his finger if they identify it the same way. But other than that, I think High Elves are iconic. High Elves are actually good, by the way, despite our vibes. But they are very good, narrow options for you. And as Rob said, if you prefer that narrow option to be spiky, you can go play your Warriors of Chaos and have a very similar choice to what you get here in the High Elves.
Yeah, and I think I think you're right. I think at some point there's the opportunity to improve these units or improve the structure that makes these units not work as well. Step Up is a good example. Immediately, if you put Step Up in, I would go back and re-review those combat units immediately. They would still be quite squishy and expensive. So I hope you've all enjoyed the video. Thanks for tuning in. Please do let us know in the comments below what you think. Thanks to everyone on the Squarebase Patreon for helping support us. Special shout out to Val for being such an upbeat fella, and shout out to everyone in the world for being lovely. So I hope you all look after yourselves, stay healthy, stay well. See you soon.